In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
All right, what's happening, guys? What's happening? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Welcome back to the show. I appreciate you for joining me. April 21st, 2026. My name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Boy, is the nonsense just kicking into high gear once again. J.D. Vance's fat ass didn't even leave the United States before these peace talks fell apart. Of course, it's very hard to have negotiations if you're going to be the only party there negotiating. Again, a lot of people were speculating J.D. Vance was going to go. Meanwhile, no response or confirmation from the Iranian side that they were even going to send a delegation. So that kind of gives you a rough idea of where we are with this peace talks as the ceasefire deadline looms tomorrow afternoon. Lots to discuss as far as that's concerned. We're going to be diving into a lot of the accounts that are associated with, the Iranian Foreign Ministry and spokespeople from Iran, comparing that with what we're hearing from Donald Trump, the United States, and seeing where the truth actually lies. I really do appreciate the chat, as always, for joining me. What's going on, chat? What do you say we bring you guys in for a solid hello, as you guys deserve? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's up, Jason? How are you? Appreciate you guys over there on Facebook. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. What's going on, Jeff? What's going on, Tiff? What's going on, Tanya? What's going on, Yakov? Best mods around. Appreciate you guys. That goes for everybody else as well. What's going on, Corrine? How's everybody on Twitch doing? Give me a shout out on Twitch. Give me a bit, a like, a share, or whatever it is that you can do over there on Twitch. Again, I still have to get the Twitch game down, Pat. You know what I mean? What's going on, Laura? How are you? What's going on, Dame? Don C., great to see you. Great to see you, Leron. What's up, Gamer? What's up, Suze? What's going on, Olga? I appreciate you guys. I really, really do. Ton to get into. We're going to be talking about the biggest energy crisis in history now. Some 600 million barrels of oil. The world is down. I believe that was the correct reporting. We'll be diving into it. So we'll be taking a look at that. As I just said, Vance's trip to Islamabad seemingly put on hold because, like I said, it's tough to negotiate with yourself. It's tough when you're not sitting across from everybody to have, like, good negotiations. I'm just going to, just going out on a limb to say that. We'll be discussing and showing a bunch of clips from the veteran protest shutting down the congressional building in Washington, D.C. And, of course, the optics of, people walked out in handcuffs or wheeled out in handcuffs is more like it. Again, when you're putting, you slapping handcuffs on blind veterans, never a good look for the administration. So we'll be diving into that. Did Tucker Carlson really think that his little apologia here that he's putting out is going to, somehow save him? Giving us great clips. I got to say, it's giving us really good fucking clips to use against Tucker Carlson, against, MAGA, Donald Trump, the GOP, the people responsible for getting us here. But does he think this is going to work? I'm just curious. We'll be taking a look at the clip that everybody's talking about from Tucker Carlson. We got Lego videos galore. I'm just, it's too much for me at this point. So many people have hopped into the game. I can't even keep them straight anymore. I got a bunch of them pulled up. We'll be going through a few of them. Let me know what you guys think. We got clips from Greg Kelly. We got clips from James O'Brien over on LBC. Once again, kind of breaking it down before I break my desk. We also have Trump's comments on CNBC as well. basically where he's talking about his excitement in dropping more bombs, as it were. So stick with me, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing. Now that I just nailed the desk, something is beeping my ear consistently. So let me see if I can just fiddle with one wire. Hold on a second. Good Lord, it never fails. All right, you stay there. You stay there, right there. You stop beeping and let me do my show. Stop. You sit. Stay. Good boy. Good stream deck. Okay, it seemed like I fixed that one. See, problems are being fixed all over the fucking place here, guys. We are just trying to solve problems, one problem at a time. First one was the stream deck, and we seem to be on a roll. So hit that like button. I appreciate you guys. Thank you once again to the mods. I appreciate the best chat on earth for everything that you guys do. Thank you for everybody that recognizes the Venmo up in the corner that takes the time out, if you're in the financial position to do so, to throw a buck or two into the coffers, to help keep the show going. Again, you can sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me for less than a gallon of gas. Again, as we continue to see the price increase in the barrel, for per barrel of oil, a lot of people on the Republican side were kind of doing tap dancing and cheering about the recent drop. Again, as we warned, that has the ability and definitely the possibility of skyrocketing once again, depending on the escalatory actions that we see from both the United States, from Israel, and also the retaliations that the Iranians are threatening too. So lots to get into as far as that's concerned. Like I said, we'll be talking about and bringing up a bunch of different accounts that are linked to the Iranian side to try to get the latest up-to-date info that isn't whitewashed, propagandized to a certain extent. So we'll be diving into that. So thank you so much to the mods, as I was saying, and thank you so much to the chat. You can get a YouTube membership just underneath me, patreon.com. My apologies yesterday, 420, I think, caught up to me. I was somehow thinking I could get a little nap in, and that ended up being a lot longer of a nap than I expected. So my apologies to everybody that was looking for me on the Zoom last night, but we'll be making up for it tonight. So look out for that link going out after the show. Luckily, I think there was a few people in the clouds last night. So I think there was a few people that either forgot about it or in the wrong place. I won't name any names, but made me feel a little bit better about myself. I know that much. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All right. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here. What do you say we dive into a little bit of the nonsense, a little bit of the craziness that we have to cover? We're going to be starting off with, like I said, talking about the biggest energy crisis now in history. And I know it sounds hyperbolic, sounds a little bit crazy. Everybody talks about the fuel crisis and the energy crisis in the 70s. But no, I think it is official at this point. This is the Kobisi letter here. It says, it's official. The world is now experiencing its biggest energy crisis in history, with 600 million barrels of oil lost as far as the oil supply is concerned. U.S. gas prices are up 47% since December, and inflation is nearing 4% in a similar path to the 70s. What happens next? And then it goes on to say, it says, let us explain, and they go on in a thread here, but the graph showing basically 1967, 1983 versus 2015 to present. You can see here the difference in the crisis, the difference in the amount of oil actually taken away from the global supply. But something that we expected to continue the longer that the Strait of Hormuz was closed, the longer that this conflict, this war dragged on to begin with. We knew that this was going to be a thing. I've talked about and brought up examples of how the European markets were paying, in some cases over $10 a gallon. Not only that, but they were being restricted as to how many liters of fuel that they could get, petrol they could get, which is, again, another huge problem that you have to factor into your daily life. If you can't fill your tank at a certain spot, you got to make sure that, somewhere in the vicinity of where you're going, there's another gas station, depending on, how far you're traveling that specific time. But again, it's ridiculous to see that they try on the other side, the Republican side, to try to, I think Caroline Levitt was on with Fox, trying to, again, get the American people to believe that we have some overwhelming victory. We've achieved some huge beneficial victory that is making our lives so much easier here as Americans, which is just not the fucking case whatsoever. You guys live your daily lives. You guys go shopping for food. You guys have to stop at the gas stations and put gas in your tank. What you're paying. So they're trying to lie to you about things that you know about firsthand going through your daily lives, right? Whether it's, anything, energy costs for your house, rent going up, anything that you could talk about right now as far as price increases. But they continue to tell you that, nope, we're in the best economic position we've ever been in. Everything is stable. Nothing's wrong. We have everything under control. Well, that's, again, not what's being reported. And like I said, talking about the European markets, and there was this New York Times that's also talking about the Asian markets and how hard they've been hit. and how that's likely to spread, beyond just the Asian markets now, the longer that this persists. This was the New York Times article talking about how the forces of scarcity hitting Asia may soon spread across the world. The Asia Pacific was hit hard and quick by the war in Iran and its energy bottlenecks. The scenes of crisis there indicate that problems are multiplying and spreading. And of course, we can talk about this till the cow comes home, but nobody in this administration seems to give a flying fuck about that. Not only that, but also the plight of you and I here in the United States. But if we could just, let me make this a little bigger on your screen. I just want to read a couple paragraphs of this, just kind of really detail, the plight of the people around the world and how, consequential and how dangerous this is to people, in a wide-ranging area, geopolitical area of the planet right now. Again, above just you and I here in the United States. So it goes on to say here that when many countries across the Asia Pacific are experiencing sudden jolts of disruption that they are struggling to manage, with some comparing the crisis breakdowns and scope to the COVID pandemic, to again give you an idea of how disruptive this has been. I mean, do we need to go back and rehash how disruptive COVID was to not only world trade, trade partners, and obviously corporations and different businesses that all went out of business for whatever reason or another? I mean, now that they're comparing this to that, it should give you guys a better understanding of just how serious and consequential this is. And again, continues to be the longer it goes on. And we're only talking about now, like, no peace talks, no negotiations, the deadline, the ceasefire deadline coming to an end tomorrow, and both parties here talking about getting ready for more bombing. We've heard and talked about the reports from the Israeli side, how they're targeting and putting together new strike packages for targets inside Iran. Of course, we can all pull up and we'll talk about the rhetoric coming from Donald Trump as far as wanting to go bombing, wanting to go hunting, locked and loaded, ready to go, the whole 9 yards. Him talking about the erasure of a civilization that goes back a couple weeks. But he seemingly is continuing to push this line, continues to have the blockade in place, while thinking that the Iranians are going to come to the table and have an equal negotiation. Donald Trump has again contradicted himself time and time and time again, depending on what he's putting on Truth Social and what we see in reality. And it seems like the Iranians are fucking sick and tired of it. And again, to a certain extent, you can start to see how consequential this has been for them. A lot of kind of infighting, a lot of kind of discrepancies as far as what's being reported, who's saying it, if that's the truth. So again, there's on both sides here, there's damages being done. It also goes on to say that even if there is a real peace deal soon, the future of the industrious region that has driven global economic growth for decades will likely include months of canceled flights, surging food prices, factory pauses, delayed shipments, and empty shelves for products long considered quick and easy to buy worldwide. Plastic bags, instant noodles, vaccines, syringes, lipstick, microchips, and sportswear, just to name a few. Collectively, according to many officials and experts, if the war's strangling of commercial traffic through the Middle East lasts for even a few more weeks and uncertainty lingers, shortages could push several countries into convulsions of unrest, followed by recession. Countless businesses are verging on insolvency. Governments are taking on enormous debt to slow inflation. By year's end, in the most dire projections by the United Nations and others, millions across Asia could be pushed into poverty. The impacts are so rapid and deep, said Philip Cornell, a senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Global Energy Center, who is based in Sri Lanka. Just from a magnitude perspective, this is really very, very, very large. Okay. And again, take it from somebody with much more knowledge on the situation than I have right here in what he's talking about. That's a lot of varies that he's putting in there as far as a big problem in magnitude. Resource scarcity tends to unleash dark forces in human psychology and capitalism. As the International Monetary Fund has noted, the world economy is slowing nearly everywhere because roughly a fifth of the world's oil and liquid natural gas, along with vital byproducts, have been held back from global markets since the war started. Even if the Strait of Hormuz stabilizes tomorrow, something that even Donald Trump's own administration continues to talk about as far as like the potential lowering of gas prices, like that's something we're not likely to see even this year, regardless of what type of peace deal, regardless of what type of outcome comes from this. And again, that even gets worse and worse and worse the longer this is pushed on and on. So obviously, like it says here, even if the Strait of Hormuz stabilizes tomorrow, it could take years for oil and gas output and shipping to reach fat pre-war levels. So this goes on to talk about the Asia Pacific has been the war's first and worst zone of impact outside the Middle East because the Asia Pacific relies more heavily on Middle Eastern energy imports than almost anywhere else in the world. The massive regional economy is deeply integrated with supply chains crisscrossing borders in ways that are heavily reliant on fossil fuels. 3, even before the war started in February, Asia's energy capacity was falling short of demand. The backlog for energy generation turbines now affecting global data centers growth started with surging power demands from Southeast Asia's industrial hubs. And it goes on here to, further detail, what's going on, how they're being affected. One of the things that a lot of people are talking about is like the cancellations of flights. I think it was something like 40%, if I'm not mistaken. It says here in March, there were more than 92,000 flights canceled worldwide, doubling the pre-war rate of cancellation, with the largest spike in eliminated flights linked to the Asia Pacific. Carriers flying through the Middle East, where 24 million migrant workers from South and Southeast Asia are employed, suspended trips to Dubai and other Gulf hubs right away. With jet fuel nearly doubling in price and with its availability threatened, airlines are slashing many more routes indefinitely. Qantas, Air New Zealand, Lion Air of Indonesia, Vietjet, Air Asia, Air India, Cathay Pacific are just a few of the companies cutting service. Batik Air of Malaysia has gone further than that, cutting flights by 35% this month to avoid insolvency. So again, you can see the huge and wide-ranging economic impact. And again, this is talking about how this is likely to spread throughout, the world, basically jumping from just the Asia Pacific markets to other regions that not only rely on that, but we're talking about trade partners in the area, longtime fucking allies in the area, people that we rely on to continuously have the GDP, depending on who we sell to, how much we sell to them. We also know that a lot of our goods come in from this area of the world where you're buying on Temu, Amazon, whatever the fuck, a lot of the stuff is made in this region, whether it's clothing. You can talk about all of the different aspects and different things that are associated with this region. So you can see how wide-ranging this would be. It's obviously going to have an impact on you, but to detail and to kind of highlight, the other areas in the world that are being impacted and will continue to be impacted this regardless of what we see take place, and even worse so if we see more in escalatory actions take place, again, by the United States, by Israel, and, of course, the retaliations that Iran has promised if those actions continue. So just a few articles here to kind of detail what else is going on and how this is, really, really bad, a really, really negative thing for a lot of different regions, and continues to get worse and worse by the day. But let me throw this on the screen as well, because this was kind of the latest that I saw as I was talking about. This is Barack Ravid reporting that Vice President Vance's Pakistan trip has been put on hold as Iran's leadership remained divided over whether to participate in a new round of peace talks. He points to his story on Axios, but this is, pretty consistent with the inconsistencies of this administration. I mean, we pointed out on the show the other day the back and forth reporting that was going on with who was even going to be part of the delegation. You had people like Steve Witkoff saying J.D. Vance was going. You had people like Donald Trump saying he wasn't going. You had people like Mike Waltz saying, yeah, no, he's definitely going. You had people saying he had already taken off. Now we find out that his ass never left the United States, and because there's obviously some decisions being talked about inside of the Iranian leadership as to how they should approach this, what the next step should be, and again, kind of shows that to an extent the pressure is on them as well. I mean, it's we always talk about the ridiculousness and the inconsistencies of the United States, but without talking about definitely the impacts that are being felt inside of the Iranian leadership as well. So we'll see what comes out of this. Again, the deadline looming tomorrow. I think it's something at 4:05 p.m. if I'm getting that right. I think I'm close on that one, something like that, 4:35 or around that area. But let me just see. Like I said, I just kind of want to go through a few of these different accounts to see if we can get any, kind of up-to-date news, any breaking news, any insights as to what may be taking place, as to what both sides are saying. That way we can draw our own conclusions and hopefully come up with some sort of normal outcome. Hopefully, I know that's not going to happen. I know that's an impossibility as far as what's going on, but we can hope, right? Let's see here. This is something else that he posted here. Let's just read this, see if this gives us any information. As I understand it, there's no issue here of an Iranian attempt to stall for time. This is not a negotiation where time can be dragged out. out. The expiration date of the ceasefire is well known to everybody. There's a substantive and clear position here from the leadership in Tehran, led by the Revolutionary Guards. There will be no negotiations if the Americans do not compromise in one way or another on the issue of the naval blockade. Obviously, we've continued to talk about that as a talking point, as well as obviously Israel in their attacks inside of Lebanon. This does not necessarily mean that they want to return to fighting, but it seems that they are also not afraid of it. They are also well aware of the accumulating economic damage resulting from the continuation of the naval blockade, yet they still assess that Iran has the ability to bear the economic price for the last several months, while the other side, the United States, the global economy, Gulf states, has the ability to hold out for only a few more weeks. The implication is that at this stage, it seems the chance of resuming talks depends on, to a large extent, on the Americans' willingness to at least ease the naval blockade, if not officially, in exchange for resuming the talks, which will probably require, nevertheless, an extension of the ceasefire by at least a few more days. And that was put on to this post here, which is talking about in Israel, the preparations are underway for the resumption of fighting against Iran, as we talked about in the last couple of shows, them putting together, more target packages, more up-to-date target packages to resume the fighting. The senior security official said, quote, "We assess that no understandings will be reached, prepared for the immediate resumption of the war." Again, just to kind of go through the latest of what's being said here. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are also still in the United States. The Department of Homeland Security plane that was supposed to take them this morning from Miami to Europe, from there to Pakistan, took off a few minutes ago, but in the direction of Washington. Maybe they're on their way to a meeting with Trump. So again, not any delegation seemingly from the United States on their way to Islamabad, Pakistan, to engage in these talks here. So let me just see what these other accounts are saying here. This is MB Galabaf, who again is somebody that we've been trying to follow closely as far as reporting on this matter. Let's just see here. He's kind of been quiet as far as I can see over the last couple days. Said here a couple days ago, that one probably not pertaining to us. And this one, 20 hours ago, Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table in his own imagination into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats. And in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. Again, does that involve the Bab al-Mandeb Strait? Does that mean the activation of the Houthis, the proxies in Yemen? Excuse me. Is that talking about, excuse me, I almost choked and died right there because of reading that. But does that mean new weapons platforms that they haven't been launching or haven't been shown yet? Remains to be seen as far as what those threats are talking about. And then this looks like a couple hours ago, he posted this, some sort of poll. They'll sell war to make what great again? Inflation. MIGA. Oh, is this a take on MAGA? Make inflation great again? Make unaffordability great again? Oligarchs, make oligarchs great again? Or Epstein? Oh shit. Make Epsteinocracy great again. Posted by MB Galabaf. Mega. Make Epsteinocracy great again. Jesus Christ. Again, doesn't seemingly seem like a side that's ready to back down. I know, we could talk about the pain that they've been feeling underneath the blockade here. And, of course, the discrepancies and kind of back and forth that's going between the people of power that do have leadership over there at this point, kind of trying to figure out what to do next. But let's see here. This is another one of the accounts kind of closely affiliated. And I just wanted to go through the timeline, and we'll kind of work our way up to current time. But this was posted. And, again, this is Dolphin Iran, April 21st. Iran, anticipating the possibility of a sudden and explosive escalation of tensions, has planned for establishing new rules of engagement in the opening moments of a second phase of war. Again, just talking about how predicted this new escalatory action is. Like both sides, all three sides here seem to be gearing up for what is seemingly coming after the ceasefire is over, which is more and more bombing. Not only has the rhetoric, but also the preparatory, the preparatory moves and trying to defend against or talking about their retaliation strikes has also ramped up a little bit. This is, again, another one. The scenario of extending the ceasefire and reducing the level of negotiation has become more serious. America has so far assaulted 2 Iranian ships. With the end of the ceasefire deadline, the military response to the maritime blockade will begin. This was 2 hours ago. Strategic assessment. The ceasefire will end around 3 a.m. on Wednesday, Tehran time. The enemy's behavioral patterns indicate that the strike will be delivered before this hour. Iran will respond to any strike with an unlimited retaliation. The United States faces several very serious operational constraints and knows that returning to war would not achieve its goals, but rather distance itself further from them. For this reason, the United States is currently pressuring Pakistan to accept negotiations on behalf of Iran and extend the ceasefire deadline by 1 week. In Iran, there are no signs that a reasonable and sustainable agreement with the United States is attainable. Now, I pose the question to you guys in the chat, is this setting up another taco moment from Trump? Right? Is this setting up another moment where Trump's going to be talking about these like third and fourth string people over in the Iranian leadership that decided to reach out and send them 47 fucking container ships full of oil, and they sent them a gold, plated whatever the fuck to make sure that like another week or 2 weeks of a ceasefire was negotiated, was talked about, or was announced, to make sure that the bombing doesn't ensue, to make sure that the global markets don't react like Donald Trump has been trying to kind of play the markets and trying to limit thus far. So again, it's going to go against everything that he's been trying to do if these bombs continue to be dropped, if Iran retaliates, if the Bab el-Mandeb Strait decides to be closed off by the Iranian proxies. You know what I mean? So that's going against everything that he tries to do in these announcements and saying everything's A-okay, we've achieved victory, don't worry, the markets can go back to normal, please drop the price of oil, as he's done several times now. But again, that doesn't mean that he's not going to do it, right? As Hal said yesterday, and shout out to Hal. I appreciate him for having me on yesterday for a great conversation. But as he pointed out yesterday, just because it's stupid to you and I doesn't mean that these people aren't going to do it, right? Doesn't mean that that's not something that they're going to try to implement. And that's very well said, right? I think that's something that we should probably take into account a little bit more often. And I think we do here. I think a little bit, I'm talking to probably a few more shows, some other shows here that if they went by that, that motto, that adage, that they'd probably be better off. But again, this is like pretty clear to me, saying here that there are no signs that a reasonable and sustainable agreement with the United States is attainable. Right. So that's not telling me overwhelming peace. That's not telling me, the attainable opening of the Strait of Hormuz. That's not telling me that like we're going to have a consistent lowering of prices as far as oil or gas, or things that are going to return to normal as far as global shipping. Right. The pressures are not going to ease on the Asian Pacific market. The pressures are not going to ease on the European market. And in fact, if this shit kicks back off like we saw it before, then that's just going to get worse, right? That's just going to get exponentially higher as far as the danger posed, as far as the plight of the people in the areas that we're talking about that are now feeling this pinch. But again, let's see here. I'm going to do a quick refresh, and I just want to see if there's anything that we may have missed in the time that I threw that up there for you guys. Let me just see here. April 1st, strategic assessment. No, so that seems like the last one, the most up-to-date one from this account here. America so far, yeah, that's the last one on that one. Let's see if there's this one here. I think I pulled up a couple from the Clash report as we've been looking. Oh, thank you, Colleen. Very much appreciated. It's very, very nice of you. You and this community family are my New York Times crossword mind strengthening to ward off dementia. Oh, Colleen, I love you. I appreciate you, dear. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you so much for the support of the entire community here. I really do appreciate you and your kind words and your support. It means a lot, and it goes a long, long way. So, Colleen, shout out to you, W. Colleen, in the chat. Very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. You guys too, just like Colleen, can reach out via the chat there, send in a super sticker, super chat. Let me know if you reach a milestone as far as being a member, so I can highlight that at the end of the show as well. And again, obviously in the upper corner of the screen is the Venmo. $1 or $2 is all we ask for. We try to do this the independent way. No backers, no sponsors, no ads for you guys. It is just me, myself, I, and the merch shop trying to keep this little thing running, and with your generosity and your help. So we're trying to get to 20K. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do. And again, shout out to the mods. All right, let's see if we can just dive through. And again, I just want to see if we can get some more information about what people are saying on both sides, and then we'll try to, again, justify or regulate what the hell the truth actually is. This is here. Pakistani's information minister saying here, as reported by Clash Report, a formal response from Iranian side about confirmation of delegation to attend Islamabad peace talks is still awaited. Of course, we know now that J.D. Vance's trip has been put on hold. Ceasefire ends at 4:50 a.m. Pacific time. Okay, so I was off. I had the time right. I had the afternoon wrong. So it's in the morning. So it's going to be, 7:50 here on the East Coast. Tomorrow morning. So decision from Iran to attend the talks before the end of the 2-week ceasefire is critical. Pakistan has made sincere efforts to convince the Iranian leadership to participate in the second round of talks, and these efforts continue. But again, that all stipulated and hinged on Donald Trump's willingness to alleviate the blockade something that, again, was a red line for the Iranians as far as going forward with these peace talks. And again, that kind of, I think, directly backfired, unless it is the continuation of the bombing campaigns that is ultimately the goal for this administration. And again, they're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot on purpose, right? I wouldn't put it past them. This is the post that he was saying this on: the situation as it stands, 1930 Pacific time, formal response from the Iranian side about confirmation delegation. So basically, he's just kind of repeating what that said here. Let's see if there's anything else. New poll from Gallup. That's the one that we just talked about, where he's making fun of all the MAGA representations. This is: Trump proposed a $1.5 trillion defense budget for fiscal year 2027, a dramatic increase of roughly 40% over the previous year, and one of the largest jumps in modern U.S. history. More than $750 billion of that total is concentrated in weapons development and procurement, especially advanced systems. The plan prioritizes a major expansion of naval shipbuilding, including dozens of new vessels and submarines, those of which being those ridiculous, outdated, and useless fucking battleships that Donald Trump was talking about. Continued investment in fighter jets like the F-35 and the next generation aircraft, and funding for the Golden Dome fucking missile defense system. Jesus Christ. Yeah, people on the beach are going to love that. I can't wait till, people in Orange County and people in fucking Palm Beach now go and they take their family down to the beach, right? They're ready. They're unpacking all their towels. They're unpacking their fucking umbrella, right? They're getting all the sunscreen on, ready to head down to the beach. But you can't, because the fucking missile alarms are going off, because they're doing some sort of test with the Iron Dome missile defense system that just happens to be fucking stationed right there on that beach, because, you need them posted around the fucking coast to, to implement the strategy that they're supposed to be used for. And again, as we know, not a ton of things coming into the American airspace as far as missiles or drones, as we've seen historically, right? More balloons than anything else, I think, as we point out. But, not putting it past them. This Golden Dome seems to be something stuck on Donald Trump's brain. Again, I'm not really too sure if he's not clear on what this is. Like, he may in fact still think it's like an actual piece of golden missile domes, like an actual steel dome over the United States at this point. I'm unaware. We'll have to dig more into that to see if he actually knows what the fuck that entails. But the budget also significantly boosts spending on drones, AI, munitions, and military infrastructure, alongside increases in troop pay and industrial capacity, such as shipyards and critical minerals. So again, as we are seeing people in this country struggle to put food on the table, struggle to get the health care that they deserve, struggle to have families, struggle to pay rent, struggle to pay mortgage, struggle to pay their fucking electric bills, as more and more people find themselves kind of on the outs as far as homes are concerned, as we see there is more and more of a shortage as far as homes in this country, as we see the wealth gap and wealth inequality continue to rise in this country. We're continuously seeing the budget for the defense spending, for the military spending, jump up dramatically. Again, here, roughly 40% year over year from the last fiscal budget. Again, if that shows you the intent of the people here and what they're really trying to put the money towards. This is, again, here, Clash Report. J.D. Vance is still in Washington. A senior White House official says that several policy discussions will take place today at the White House, in which Vance will participate. Again, kind of completely blows off the fact that he was scheduled to be in Islamabad, Pakistan, for peace talks with the Iranian delegation. That seems to be just like a generic, hey, just so you know, J.D. Vance still in Washington, but don't worry, we got a bunch of meetings planned for him that he's going to go to. Let's see what else we got here. This is German Chancellor Merz on Trump. The truth is, I try to maintain a reasonable personal relationship with the American president. Right now, we cannot defend ourselves on our own. At the moment, we are only a few of us can speak with him in a trusting way. I have access to him. Things improve when the doors are closed, but it's still not good. I didn't choose him, but he is the president of the United States. And I kind of back and forth, both sides playing the fence isms on that one. And again, we'll see if there's any news here. What's it say? The Iran has told mediators it will send a delegation to Islamabad for talks once the United States lifts its blockade on Iranian ports. Again, a stipulation they've made several times at this point, something that Donald Trump was unwilling to stipulate to, and seemingly is the reason that the peace talks will no longer happen. As far as I can see, both parties are still on the ground in their respective countries, so it makes it pretty hard for those peace talks to be happening in Islamabad. So again, now what's this say? I don't care what Mike Huckabee had to say. What's Zelensky got to say here? What's he saying? Zelensky, the EU asked Ukraine to repair the Druzhba oil pipeline. We completed the repairs. Now we're awaiting the unblocking of $90 billion for 2 years. Let's see what he's going to say.
Підтримки для України 90 мільярдів євро на 2 роки. Це кошти, які вже
Well, that's probably not going to help us consider it's in Ukrainian. We'll see if we can find some sort of translation for that somewhere else and dive back into that one. Let's see here. The U.S. paused ammunition deliveries to Estonia, especially HIMARS rockets, due to the war in Iran, likely for months, not weeks. Estonia says it has enough anti-tank weapons, but may seek alternatives or rethink purchases if delays continue. And again, this is right in line with the reporting we talked about the other day of different European allies now being told that they're going to have to wait possibly a lot longer than they expected as far as resupply, as far as getting the weapons or the platforms that they were supposed to be getting as far, per different aid packages, because of the amount of munitions that we've expended here in the last, I don't know, how long, from striking Venezuelan shipping boats to obviously the war that we've started here in Iran. Just goes to show you. And again, that's on top of the reporting that we've been talking about for quite a while now, that the interceptors are quite an issue for the allies in the regions that have U.S. bases, stationed on them. And again, if this war kicks back off, if this ceasefire ends tomorrow and the bombs continue to be dropped, what does that mean as far as their interceptors? What does that mean as far as the ability that the Iranians have to, again, penetrate the Iron Dome? To penetrate the U.S. air defense systems, as we've seen, utilizing both Russian and Chinese satellites and technology and help and knowledge, all of that to, again, penetrate at a much more effective rate than we saw at just the beginnings of this war. So that, again, coupled with the reporting from the U.S. intelligence assessments that the stockpile of the Iranians is somewhere between 40 and could be as high as 70% of their pre-war levels, again, flying directly in the face of everything that Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Lindsey Graham, all these fucking war hawks and warmongers and neocons have been telling us as far as the eradication of all of the military capabilities that Iran has, the Navy, the Air Force, all the targets they struck, all the missiles that were fucking buried. Well, apparently their own intelligence assessments do not agree with what they're talking about, okay? Does not agree with what Caroline Leavitt was just on Fox News trying to spew. Again, the same bullshit that they have no ability to do anything. Meanwhile, they've seemed like they've had the ability to shoot down some planes, definitely had the ability to close and continue to close the Strait of Hormuz. So it doesn't sound like no capabilities. Doesn't sound like nothing at all. Sounds like still a big fucking problem that the United States needs to solve. But again, you can tell that they're desperate to try to, in any way, like we continue to say, pry victory out of the jaws of defeat. But let's see if we continue to keep scrolling here, see if there's anything else that we need reported. 15 minutes ago, this is from Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, says blocking Iranian ports is an act of war and thus a violation of the ceasefire. Striking a commercial vessel and taking its crew hostage is an even greater violation. Again, probably referring to I believe it was the second ship that the United States boarded, as far as an Iranian tanker, if I'm not mistaken. It says Iran knows how to neutralize restrictions, how to defend its interests, and how to resist bullying. And again, that's on his post here talking about blockading Iranian ports out. So it's just the same thing that he said before. All right, let's see what else. I think that's it. I'll do a quick refresh, see if there's anything else breaking and reporting that we need to kind of detail and talk about. Again, this stuff comes out so fast and it changes so fast that you put the show together in the morning or in the the early afternoon, and by the time you're halfway done with the show, all of that shit could be useless, right? All of that shit could be useless. So like I forget exactly what it was, but the other day I had a whole show put together, and I think it was the lies that Donald Trump was repeatedly telling on True Social, and the fact that Iranians were consistently calling him out for those lies basically changed the entire thing. So, bear with me as far as this is concerned. I'm just trying to get you guys the latest and most up-to-date information that we could dive into. That looks to be the most recent post here by at least the Clash Report. Let's move on here. Let's see. And then again, these are just some of the inconsistent and ridiculous posts here by Donald Trump on his True Social account, and I can guarantee it's going to make me verify that I'm a human in 3, 2, 1, now. All right, maybe we're okay. Maybe it still thinks I'm a human. It says here, Operation Midnight Hammer was a complete and total obliteration of the nuclear dust sites in Iran. Again, just fucking to talk about, tell me that you have no idea what you're talking about without actually telling me you have no idea what you're talking about. Therefore, digging it out will be a long and difficult process. Then what the fuck are we doing? Right? Why don't we let them worry about that? If it's going to be a long and difficult process, how about we don't fucking give them the information? How about we don't give them the know-how and maybe the equipment to do so? right? I don't know. Fake news, CNN, and other corrupt media networks and platforms fail to give our great aviators the credit they deserve, always trying to demean and belittle losers. And again, that's exactly what he calls veterans and people that were captured, POWs. He calls them losers. He calls them suckers. And again, no regard or respect for the people he's continuously sending into harm's way. But there was another one of these posts, and I don't remember exactly when he posted it, but a lot of people were bringing this kind of like ridiculous meme that he had posted up. Why all of a sudden they're not showing me? Let me see. I'll do a refresh real quick. I don't know why they're blurred out there. Yep, told you. Yeah, verify you're a human for this shit-ass site that has more bots than any other fucking social media app in the world. But please, Brian, make sure that you're a fucking human. All right, let's just go with this asshole saying. I think there was a couple of them here. There was a couple that I wanted to see. The one that we just read, Iran has violated the ceasefire numerous times. That was 7 hours ago. Let's see here. And there was one. I don't know how far back I'm going to have to go because he posted one ridiculous meme that I wanted to show you. Should have had it probably posted beforehand. But again, I don't remember exactly when he posted. He's just kind of like spreading blood all over his face and talking gibberish at this point. And if I can't find it right off the bat, I won't waste your time with it. It's got to be somewhere around here. I saw people talking about it not that long ago. I'm afraid to click anything, for Christ's sakes. I'm afraid where it's going to take me if I click somewhere. But anyways, you could probably search it and click it if you Trump fucking bloody face or something like that meme or whatever he posted. But it's weird. It's very strange. I'm not sure exactly what language he's even speaking or if it's a language in general or just some AI mumbo jumbo. But he was kind of like, he's taking and putting blood all over his face. It was whacked out again. I'm not going to waste your time if it's not here in a couple seconds. In 3, 2, 1. If I don't find it, we're moving on. All right. Yeah, it's not that important. So if you guys need to find that, you could probably search it yourself. Let's go on to this veterans protest. How about that? Let's go on to this this show of defiance here by the wounded veterans that decided to take over the rotunda in the congressional building in Washington, D.C. I'm going to throw this on your screen. And we got a bunch of videos. They're not necessarily in any general order here. But again, just a couple of the ones that I could find detailing what was taking place, some of the actions, and obviously the arrests of these people. Obviously, there was, hundreds outside as well that were, speaking up against not only the war in Iran, but, the military actions by this regime in general, the unconstitutional, illegal, and also including war crimes, military actions by this regime. So if we could just kind of want to get through a few of these different videos. There's a few here on Instagram, and then there's one that was posted, looked like sort of a live stream action shot of what was taking place, and that has the arrest, and that will show you the, again, horrible optics of having to handcuff a woman in a wheelchair, having to handcuff a blind man, or having to, again, handcuff any wounded or any veteran for that matter whatsoever. That's trying to protest and use their freedom of speech, using their rights to speak up against, the same military that they served and sacrificed for. So this is one of them here, just kind of describing what was taking place. I think this is just as they were taking the floor here. So let me see if I can put this on the screen for you guys. It's on there for you. All right, I'm just going to play this, and we're just going to take a look at a few of these clips here. Again, this is Veterans Occupy Cannon Rotunda in protest of another immoral, self-destructive war. So let's take a look at here. And thanks, amen, and a big respect to everybody that participated in this, for speaking up, for showing that, not everybody inside of the military, past or present, agrees with or is like happy to go along with Donald Trump's actions, Pete Hegseth's actions, JD Vance's actions in this, and believe in this enough, believe in the sacrifice that they made, the oath that they took to uphold and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic, very fucking seriously. And I just want to give a big shout out to everybody that participated in this, because that's the least of what they deserve. A lot of this is hopefully going a long way to wake a lot of veterans up. And again, even if they're serving, presently right now, hopefully a lot of them are seeing this, seeing that they're not alone, and seeing that there is an avenue to speak up. So let's see if we can play a couple of these clips here.
Largest veteran and military family act of civil disobedience since the Iraq War began, occupying the Cannon Building Rotunda, protesting yet another forever war with Iran, which includes the genocide in Palestine, the ethnic cleansing in the south of Lebanon, and the potential ground operation in Cuba. Whatever violence we do overseas always comes back home, and every war fought by this government is a war on the working class, which is you. We're here until arrest or Speaker Mike Johnson comes out to answer for the dead and meets our demands. If you're an active duty service member, and do not wish to join the 5th U.S. generation fighting in a senseless, self-destructive moral war for the rich, for the parasite class, we will stand with you. There is a way out. Info below.
We are veterans and military families demanding an end to the war on Iran. We demand that Congress not authorize 1 cent more to this war. We demand that Donald Trump bring back all U.S. military personnel and stop these illegal and immoral attacks on the Iranian people. We are holding red tulips, a symbol of sacrifice and martyrdom in Iranian culture, to pay tribute to the thousands of Iranians who have been killed as a result of this war. We will now hold a flag-folding ceremony to call attention to the U.S. service members who have already been killed and will be killed until this war ends. But can't cut!
All right, we'll be covering this all day. Stay tuned for live stream. So begins the large.
That's one of the videos that was put out by greg.j.stoker on Instagram, in case anybody's on Instagram and wants to follow that account for more of that. Again, this was the YouTube live feed, so to speak. I think this was, it says Reuters on the side. I'm a little kind of confused by that. This is also put out by Reuters. I'm not sure if they got this video from somewhere else. But again, this is just kind of detailing and depicting the arrests of these veterans that were protesting, again, the illegal actions of this administration. So just want to show you guys this as well. These are the optics that every administration desperately tries to avoid, but this administration does not seem to give a flying fuck about what not only past service members are saying, but also present service members are saying, and did say that the ones that at least did speak up about the actions and potential dangers of what they are enacting and undertaking with the Israeli military. So I just want to throw this on your screen as well. And again, in case you didn't hear in the first video, they're all holding tulips, which is, I believe, the national flower of Iran. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. He said it symbolizes basically the sacrifice of and basically those that have been killed in this senseless war. So again, a good representation. And as you'll see here, it looks like the tulips were left behind when these people were rounded up and subsequently taken out in handcuffs, which is a good, a huge, kind of representation of the moment of the protest, I think. Oh, my apologies. I don't know what happened there. Skip ahead. You can see their shirts say Veterans Against Fascism. Clearly got their fatigues on, representing themselves accurately as veterans here. And this goes on because, like I said, this is a 12 or 13 minute kind of snippet of the live stream. But as you can see here, there's a woman here holding a tulip in a wheelchair. There's her getting taken out as well. Here, let's see if I can catch that moment as well, because definitely optics that the Trump administration would not want you to see. Here they are taking the person next to her. You can see the tulips being left behind on the ground there as a representation. But this goes on. The woman in the wheelchair is next. Let me see. Here's this one. And again, you can see the the clear representation there of the tulips being left behind as they're, putting handcuffs, putting zip ties, and escorted out there. But again, there was hundreds. There was not only that demonstration inside, there was hundreds outside of veterans, making their frustrations known, making their anger known with this. Here's the last one taken out here. And then the tulips left behind by all the protesters there, which again, keep telling you, it seems like a very apt representation of the protest, especially even after they've been escorted out, to see that left behind, what it represents, kind of a very kind of chilling moment. Here's another one. Here's another video. Here's one of them talking about one of them that was getting escorted out, giving his, giving his 2 cents to the camera on why they're there, why they're doing it, what it represents. So let's see if we can dive into this one.
We're here, dozens and dozens of veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're here because we don't want service members today to make the same mistakes we made. This is a war based on lies. This is a war killing innocent people. Get out now. Exercise your right to get out now. We're here, dozens and dozens of veterans who served in Iraq.
And I think I had one more as well. Yeah, here's another one of another disabled veteran getting escorted or arrested, I should say, in zip ties from the protest here. So again, a lot of respect, big shout out to all the veterans that showed up for that protest. Again, making it widely known that not everybody that served stands with Donald Trump or behind this war. So, and again, that goes for that shout out in that respect is extended for everybody in the chat and beyond watching this later that sacrifice, that raised their hand to take that oath to defend us. And, just want to let you know that we support you to the end and respect you to the end and very much appreciate you being here. So, it's good to see. It goes a long way, I think, in people that kind of were a little bit disgruntled in the military's actions and the lack of, kind of pushback, and people in the leadership positions standing up for clear and obvious war crimes, clear and obvious, neglect, lack of planning, incompetence, all of those things. But I appreciate, like I said, I'll reiterate again, I appreciate everybody standing up for that, speaking their piece, using their rights, and kind of, speaking up in for the injustices. So, and again, like I said, extended to everybody in the chat and beyond who took, had any part whatsoever in helping defend this country. So very much appreciated. All right, let's see if we can dip onto this next asshole here, which is Tucker Carlson desperately trying to, pay his penance, desperately trying to get on the right side of history, and I refuse to allow him to do it. Okay, I again will utilize the words that he says. I will again use to the best of my political expediency, the shit talking, the kind of, I don't even know what you call it, the mea culpa that he's having at this point, or at least he's pretending to have at this point. I'm not going to let him rewrite history. I'm not going to let him fucking, give himself an image revamping whatsoever. But again, like I said, I will continue to utilize the bullshit he's spewing against his own side. And the stupidity that, again, is portrayed in anybody that kind of, allowed Donald Trump to propagandize them, lie to them, anybody that believed his promises, anybody that didn't see the obvious bullshittery that we went through in the first administration, his first term, and allowed that to happen in the second term. Fuck him and everybody along with him. But again, I am going to use that to the best of my political abilities here. So this is Tucker Carlson. We don't have to get into the whole clip. It's about three and a half minutes long. But Tucker Carlson saying that he's tormented for a long time, I should say, by the fact that I played a role in getting Donald Trump elected. I want to say that I'm sorry for misleading people. Well, sorry too fucking late, brother. All right. I know the saying is better late than never, but I don't think that's going to be extended to you in this category. So let's just see here if we can see what bullshittery and what penance he's trying to propose on this one.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him. I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So
no, in all the ways, in all of the fucking ways. I mean, you at Fox News, right, with the fucking nightly slot that you had, the prime time spot that you had, where millions and millions and millions of people fell for your bullshit. You're just asking questions, though, right? Just fucking asking questions, as Tucker Carlson always used to say. So you have direct, like he's still at some point trying to like limit the amount of culpability that he has, the amount of responsibility that he has for this situation, while at the same time recognizing that he has some, like, no. You are fucking full-fledged involved in this, okay? People are not going to be able to look back in history, talk about MAGA, talk about Donald Trump getting in the first term and the second term without bringing up Fox News and Tucker fucking Carlson, okay? No, nobody's going to be able to bring up COVID, the detriment that had to our society without bringing up Fox News and Tucker Carlson.
I do think it's like a moment.
Right? Especially as it pertains to the Dominion lawsuit, the lies that they were telling on Fox News. Nobody's going to be able to remove you from that. So I know you're trying desperately here to get back into the good graces. Maybe you're not making enough money here podcasting for yourself. I don't know. The views seem to be pretty good. But again, I don't know what you were getting paid. I know it was a lot more at Fox News, I'm sure. So I don't know. Maybe you're trying to get back into the good graces. Maybe you're trying to, vie for that mainstream media slot again on whatever network will fucking take you. But I'm not going to allow it here. Okay, you and Marjorie Taylor Greene can go fucking pound sand, but keep shooting these clips at me. Keep shooting these clips at me so I can use them on the show. But otherwise, beat feet, Chief.
To wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will.
Oh, God, I hope so. Fucking God, I hope so. And I know that's a bit of irony in there, putting those two sentences together, but fuck it. I don't give a shit at this point. Please let this son of a bitch be tormented. And I hope he gets another one of those like midnight attacks from the demon that bit him on the side, right? And like humped his leg, all that shit. He woke up and he was like, I got scratches all over the place and my asshole really, really burns. I think I had a visit from a demon last night. I don't know. If you haven't heard the story, go check it out. It's probably crazier than I make it out to seem to be. But this guy is just in no way going to get me to believe that he's like, I've changed everything about myself. And now all of a sudden I'm like, I'm a changed man. And now I'm going to go doing this penance and I'm going to church every Sunday. And I'm, in the confession booth and fucking all these things. I'm trying to rehab my image. Nope. Not happening. Not happening. I hope you suffer. I hope you fucking are tormented for a long fucking time. I hope you don't have a peaceful night's sleep for quite some fucking years, right? And maybe I'll be the judge at some point when I feel generous enough to allow you a night's sleep that, you can go back to that. But at this point, I hope you fucking accounting sheep till the fucking cows come home at that point, right? Fuck them, and fuck this guy.
And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway.
Wasn't intent. No, the scripts that you wrote for your show, the subjects that you decided to attack, the people that you decided to attack, that wasn't scripted, that wasn't intentional. No, it was unintentional, the scripts, right? You were unintentionally reading the teleprompter and all the bullshit propaganda that you were spewing. Get the fuck out of here, unintentional. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Like, what? Do you think we're all fucking really this illiterate when it comes to the media still to this point? Motherfucker, please. Jesus Christ.
But the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes, to say the very fucking least, right? You're scraping the bottom of the barrel saying there was some character defects. And no, this wasn't the plan, right? I think we're giving him way too much credit as far as Trump to even say that he had a cohesive plan, right? To say there was any like concise thinking of what he wanted to do with the presidency. No. Like, again, this is this fly by the seat of your fucking pants. We're flying by wire here at this point, right? Whatever fucking this guy thinks at any given moment is what he decides to do, and we just have to react in real time. But to give him like this opportunity to be like, yeah, this was the plan, even if it's like a dictatorial, maniacal, authoritarian plan, right? Still, I don't think he had any of that in mind, any of that like pre-planned out. No, this guy doesn't give a fuck what happens, who he hurts. If it benefits him, he's going to think about doing it, right? If he thinks it makes him look good somehow, he's going to think about doing it. So again, this guy trying to kind of rewrite history in this regard, I'm not going to let him do it.
But it didn't. There are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to.
Oh, don't laugh. Fucking hey, Jesus. I thought we might get through this clip without a Tucker Carlson laugh. I'm going to have to do a 5-second skip. I can't handle it. Can't handle a Tucker Carlson laugh. I will vomit on screen. Oh, fuck me. How did he laugh 10 seconds later? How's he still laughing? Shut the fuck up, you monkey bastard.
But what was this? Was this always the plan?
You know, looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was, and it's easy.
Who the fuck is this dry roasted potato chip? Huh? Jesus Christ. Does it say who this is? He said he used to write speeches for Trump. Does anybody know who this fucking schmuck is? Anybody in the chat? I don't. Looks like somebody needs to get him out of the fucking Florida sun for a couple seconds. Do him some good. Holy shit. But yeah, that's we don't have to dive into any more of that. That's Tucker Carlson trying to rehab his image there. Again, trying to really try to stand out as this like opposition, this like place where people fleeing MAGA can go. Again, if they're trying to, reflect upon the lies that they were told, or if they're somehow coming to light, right? This probably plays a lot for the woman in Pennsylvania, I believe it was, that was pissed off because she was filling a gas tank and it was costing her an arm and a leg, right? No, it wasn't the January 6th. It wasn't all the sexual assault allegations against Trump. It wasn't the 34 felonies. No, it was when she couldn't afford to put a gas in her shitty Toyota. That's when it really became clear to her and evident to her that she was being lied to. So again, that's a lot of those people that are probably, Tucker Carlson's trying to reach, the people that don't really have a platform to go to, don't really know what to do because they're upset with MAGA, they're upset with Trump. They don't agree with the people that are still fucking supporting it. They know they've been lied to, but they also need sort of like a different outlet because they're obviously not going to go over to the lib or progressive side, right? So I think, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Alex Jones are trying to give these people that like outlet, right? Somewhere else to go where we're going to talk shit and we'll acknowledge that you were lied to and that you're a fucking complete moron. But we're also going to, tiptoe around the bullshit. We're also going to do, worse conspiracy theories. We're going to be more bigoted, more racist. In fact, like we've shown many times that Nick Fuentes is like his America First movement, his opposition to MAGA is just like, it's the worst version of MAGA, right? It is MAGA like personified. It is the worst of the worst that MAGA represents, all wrapped up into one fucking, one message basically is the America First Nick Fuentes movement. So again, anybody that's like, oh, good, MAGA is breaking up and people are going to Nick Fuentes, you got another thing coming. You got some fucking, like I said, this thing, the people that are going to support not only Donald Trump, but also the Republican movement going forward are going to be the most sycophantic of sycophants, right? They're going to be the most likely to defend anything that the administration or the Republicans do in general. And it's going to be more frustrating for you. It's going to be less likely that you're going to get people to peel off, right? So, just be ready and wary for like more frustration as this gets fucking a smaller and smaller cult, a smaller and smaller unit. And then it's going to be like, all of a sudden, things are going to open up. The fresh air is going to come back rushing in. No, it's going to be the worst of the worst that's left, unfortunately, standing next to not only Donald Trump, but anybody in the GOP that still supports these policies and way of governance in general. All right, let's see what else that we got here. We got this one here that I wanted to dive into as well. This one was from, this is OSINT Technical. I just wanted to see if there was any further updates, and we'll dive into the Lego videos in case you stuck around for those. I appreciate you. Here's OSINT Technical. This was 32 minutes ago. Blockading Iranian ports is an act of war. So again, I'm just trying to sift through all of these people that have been doing the reporting to see if there's anything else that we could gain as far as intelligence or insight. And again, here's did I bring this up somewhere else though? Let me see. Greg Kelly has it. James O'Brien has it. That one and that one. So this must have been where I wanted to show this one. So again, this is Donald Trump on with this. What's this asshole's name? Joe something. Joe Squawks or Joe fucking never shuts up or whatever the fuck, Squawk Box, whatever this guy's name is, but it's CNBC. Donald Trump on with a phone conversation here, basically detailing intent or what he would like to see happen as far as the continuation, of bombing in Iran. So again, this is the clip making the rounds from this conversation. Trump on potential Iran peace deal this morning. Well, I expect to be bombing, Donald Trump says. So let's just play this real quick. 20-second clip here of Donald Trump, again, expressing his genocidal intent to continue this war, even though it is detrimental on so many different levels to so many different regions of this planet.
You're saying that you need at least the prospects for a signed deal today and tomorrow, or else you would resume bombing Iran?
Well, I expect to be bombing because I think that's a better attitude to go in with, but we're ready to go.
You're saying that you need...
We expect to be bombing because that's a better attitude to go in with. Showing clear intent. This is right in line with Pete Hegseth saying, fucking, why would we confiscate the ships? Why would we take these ships to the ports where we could utilize the information and intelligence would get by, going through the ships and seeing how they were utilized, seeing how they were built, seeing how they were used. No, we'd rather sink them, son of a bitches. We'd rather just put them at the bottom of the sea. So right in line. Like they can't fucking, they've never been happier than when their finger is on the trigger, again, threatening an entire civilization, threatening an entire population. Seems to have been the only time that these motherfuckers get their rocks off, unless, of course, there's like a bunch of underage girls at a party somewhere that will definitely get their fucking rocks off as well, these sick sons of bitches. But yeah, that was, what was his name? Joe Kiernan? I think somebody said it in the chat while that was playing. Joe Kiernan's the guy's name. I don't really give a shit. I really don't fucking either way. Whatever his name is, it's useless space in my brain that's taken up because he's a fucking hack. But anyway, that was a little piece of the conversation between Donald Trump and Squawk Box Joe there. Talking about his genocidal intent. But what do you say we dive on from that maniacal genocidal piece of shit to some of these Lego videos that everybody's loving, right? Let's get into these. I think I have like 3 of them. I'm telling you, they're coming in so fast at this point from so many different spots. I know YouTube at one point was trying to do a crackdown on these. A lot of the accounts that I was getting these from, like, you couldn't get to them anymore. They were removed. I don't know if some of them are back. I don't know if they decided to make new accounts or what's going on, but they're still coming out fast and furious, as it were. And I do even believe they even reference the fact that YouTube is trying to curtail these Lego videos on behalf of Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon because they're getting their ass handed to them, not only in the general war itself, but also in the negotiation process and the propaganda war. So at least the one thing they can try to control is like their friends that own these different conglomerates, that own these different social media apps, to make sure that nobody sees these. But it's not fucking working. It's just not working. People seem to dig them. People seem to like them. A lot of people even use them as their fucking news source at this point, considering the truth, as you can see written on the brick wall there, the stone wall that he's got going on. The truth is really sometimes a lot more evident in these Lego videos than it is from anything coming out of this administration as far as Trump and his regime is concerned. So what do you say we just fly through a couple of these? This is one here. Kushner got $2 billion. Iran dropped another Lego video. So this is about Jared Kushner and his $2 billion, I'm assuming. Again, I'd save these for you guys. I wanted to dive into them with you. So please hit that like button. Again, my name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics, just kind of sifting through the latest news on obviously the ceasefire, the failed peace talks, the failed negotiations, what that means for you and I, what that means for the Asian markets, what that means for the European markets, what that means for the global oil and fuel crisis in general, and obviously the Lego videos that have been making the rounds that everybody seems to really enjoy. So I appreciate you guys if you would subscribe. We're trying to get to 20K, and it's only with your help that we're going to get this. All right, let's dive into this one again. Kushner got $2 billion. Let's see if this one bops.
Fake news. Deceptive claims. A mafia boss on fast forward.
He's losing the grip. The strings are tangled. Mafia boss in a suit of gold, lies and stories getting so old. Fake news king in a lowly room, trading lies for a sonic boom. CNN calls you a plastic fraud, even your puppets are getting odd, stealing the meaning with a fake applause.
General, grab the nuclear code. Trump is on a psycho mode. Iran's meaning on every road.
Generals, grab the nuclear code. Just Trump is on a psycho mode. if that ain't the fucking truth.
Western spirit about to explode. White House lies on a dusty road. Jared Kushner counting the bills. Saudi money for nuclear thrills. Begging for billions in desert chills.
Jared Kushner counting the bills. What'd he say? Nuclear money for nuclear thrills? God damn.
Diplomacy dying for financial kills. $2 billion for a family deal. The mafia boss has nothing to fear. Reality breaking under the wheel. Veterans dying by their hand. Drug orders across the land. Hallucinogens for the broken band. Toxic chores that you plan. Sand is slipping from your hand. Wait, look at the tweet. He's talking to the walls again. Liar, buyer, schemer.
Look at the tweet. He's talking to the walls again. Definitely, a clear representation of the fucking lying that Donald Trump has been doing on Truth Social. And again, comparing that to the rhetoric coming out from the other side, and you're like, well, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. That's not what they're saying.
Liar, glitcher, twitcher, snitcher, witcher, greedy, needy, seedy, speedy, vulture, culture, ulcer, insulter, cheater, beater, heater, deleter, phony, crony, sony, baloney, fake, winston, spin, thing, skin, bing, ding, dirty, wordy, nerdy, absurdy, useless, toothless, ruthless, truthless. Meaning is power you can't buy. Spirit is soaring in the sky. Material world is a giant lie. Empire of gold is about to die. Iran is the limit you can't defy. The eagle is falling from on high. Wave your fake little wings goodbye.
So true, Ray. So true.
Tucker was right. He misled the crowd. Winter isn't coming.
Holy shit. Is that already talking about Tucker's video that we just watched? God damn, telling you how quick they are on this shit. So that was Jared Kushner, a little bit more of that, but like I said, we got a bunch of these to see if we can sift through. Here's another one here by a different source. Again, so many of these different accounts popping up now, getting these in. It's hard to tell where they're coming from, if it's truly coming from the Iranian side or not. Your guess is as good as mine, but I don't give a shit. Really don't care, because they're fucking bangers. This talks about the Iran. I don't know why it says the Iran, but it says Iran is trolling Trump again with this AI Lego banger. I don't see what it's about, but what do you say we find out? You and I. Let's go. Dive into it. Here we go.
2026. Still here, still breathe.
They're really getting more like cinematic with these fucking, the jams too. They're really getting a little bit more like extended with the intros here. You know what I mean? Like they're starting to take like the feature length films, like the 10-minute, no music, just like shitting on Donald Trump, shitting on the Pentagon for a consistent 10 minutes in Lego form. Like they're starting to take that and implement that into the intros. So again, let's see what they got.
7,000 years of soul versus your 4-year glitch. Yo, Trump, look at the sky. Then check the scoreboard. You talk about greatness from a golden tower while you rain down fire, abusing your power. Started in 53, yeah, you flipped the script. Mosaic on just to keep the oil unzipped. You think we forgot the 655 flight? 290 souls gone in the middle of the light. No apology, just a medal on the chest. Now you're back in the game, putting us to the test. You ripped the JCPOA, tore the ink off the page, and you wonder why the lion is trapped in the cage. Maximum pressure.
Hold on. One, just give me a second here. Are they talking about this? Is this what they're talking about? Iran Air Flight 655, what they were just referencing? It was an international scheduled passenger flight from Tehran to Dubai via Bandar Abbas, and that was shot down on 3 July 1988 by 2 surface-to-air missiles fired by the USS Vincennes, a United States Navy warship. The missile hit the Iranian aircraft, an Airbus A300, while it was flying its usual route over Iran's territorial waters in the Persian Gulf. Shortly after the flight departed, its stopover location, Bandar Abbas International Airport. All 290 people on board were killed, making it one of the deadliest airliner shoot-downs of all time, the deadliest aviation incident involving an Airbus aircraft at any type, in the deadliest aviation incident in Iranian history. God damn, they're pulling out the fucking history and shit. Motherfuckers. Play.
Maximum pain, but you can't wash the blood with your corporate brain. This is the land of the sun, the home of the brave. We don't fit in the holes that your sanctions have paid. 7,000 years, we've seen empires fall. You're just a blinking time, a ghost on the wall.
Oh, I love that sound. Love it. Love that sound. Just I do.
Third Baghdad in the smoke. A drone in the dark, thought our spirit was broke. You targeted a ghost, but you made him a flame. Now every street in Tehran is screaming the name. You call us hero while you fund the drone that levels the city and chills to the bone. 2026 in your boots on our soil. Is it for freedom or just for the oil? You block the medicine, you block the breath. Trading our lives for a dance with death. But look at your home, it's tearing apart while the Persian rhythm still beats in my heart. You have the watches, but we have the time. You have the weapons, but we have the right. From Cyrus the Great to the youth in the street, we don't know surrender. We don't know defeat. Check your deck, check your gates, check your own divided king with no crown, with nowhere to hide. He used Israel as a shield, a blade in the dark, but you can't extinguish the Persian spark. Your sanctions are chains that we turned into rings. We are the descendants of poets and kings. Go back to your desert, go back to your sea. The plateau of Iran will always be free.
This the deal, this the peace, this the truth if you must. But empires like yours, they always turn to dust.
Damn, fucking striking back hard and heavy here. Striking back hard and heavy. And I think there's one more of them here too. I think there was. Yep, there's again. You can't keep track of them. You can't keep track of them at this point. There's so much for them to fucking tear apart. There's so much for them to make fun of. There's so much for them to talk about. I mean, they could be putting these out for the fucking till now to the end of eternity. Let's see. This one is they bombed the cities. They blocked the ports. Again, haven't dove into it. Want to dive into it? You guys hit that like button. Let's see if we can get into what they got on this one.
They bombed the cities. They blocked the ports. They banned the channels with the story. The story keeps going. Unbroken. A 13,000 strikes from the sky. Thought they'd break us, thought we'd die. But the cameras kept on rolling and the world kept on scrolling. Every Lego brick they tried to ban made 100 million fans. YouTube.
Oh, that's what this is where they're talking about it. See where it says channel deleted? So they're already talking about YouTube trying to crack down on these Lego videos. I was trying to find them with Tiff, the moderator Tiff, in the chat there. Because, we've been sending them back and forth, and I'm trying to figure out, like, hey, can you see these? Are you seeing these anymore? And all the channels were like, nope, not there anymore. So you could tell that there was definitely somebody made the call, right? Somebody made a call and was like, hey, we got to stop showing these things. They're way too fucking popular. People are liking them way too much, and it's way too to the point. Way too. But here's where they're talking about the crackdown on the Lego videos. Let's check it out.
The plug said enough, but the message was already loud enough. But you can't ban a fire that's already lit. You can't silence a voice that refuses to quit. They hit our soil, they hit our shore. But the story's ours, that's for sure. Unbroken, we're still standing here. Unbroken, and the whole world can hear. Every bomb you dropped, every channel you banned, just made our story louder across the land. Unbroken, you tried to erase, but the world sees the truth in every face. They try to ride the ending, thought they'd win it, thought they'd send it, sent the bombers, sent the fleet, but the streets are still undefeated. Every channel that they shut down just made 10 more pop up in this town. They thought fear would make us fall, but courage never
fucking Indiana Jones
gets too old. You don't need weapons to win.
I was on board with these, but you start fucking with Indy. I don't know. I might have to fucking jump ship on these Lego videos. They're gonna start attacking Indy here. Come on. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Oh, and the truth is harder than anything before. Unbroken, we're still standing here. Unbroken, and the whole world can hear. Every bomb you dropped, every channel you banned, just made our story louder across the land. Unbroken.
Fucking hell.
You'll try to Truth in every face.
What is that instrument? Fucking hell. Who knows? Anybody? Who knows what that instrument is? God damn, does it sound good with a good beat.
You can man the channel, you can burn the building, but you cannot see what the world already saw.
Fucking hell. Good Lord. Imagine one of these win a Grammy or something. Like, could you think of anything else that would be a biggest slap in the face? Like that would Donald Trump would try to fucking step in the way of anything that, like, if one of these got so popular. And again, like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but one of these accounts did report that they were over 10,000 followers on Spotify. So again, not out of the realm of possibility, but one of these wins like a Grammy or something. God damn. Jesus fucking Christ. All right. From funny videos to an idiot making a video. What do you say we dive on to this schmuck? I'm sorry, no, not that one. That's the Lego video, but this schmuck here, Greg Kelly, the world's dumbest man on television, the guy that was bleeding from his upper lip because he was telling so many goddamn lies on national television or television. I don't know if it's national at this point. I don't know what you call Newsmax. But he's trying to, again, tell us about how this is brilliant. A brilliant move by Trump. Not really confident in what he's saying. He still doesn't know if anything that he's saying is true or going to happen, but he's going to say it anyway, ladies and gentlemen. But here's just a quick clip, and then we'll go on to James O'Brien, who look at what James O'Brien starts his show off with. Remember this fucking debacle? Remember this? Remember Donald Trump walking around on the roof, like yelling down to reporters, and people are like, "What the fuck are you doing on the roof, you weirdo?" Like, what are you? I'm building, and he's like doing arm signals and fucking salutes and shit that look like, like he was practicing for his Stalin-esque, Hitler-esque speeches and rallies he was gonna have from the podium he was gonna build on the fucking White House roof. But apparently he was just putting like missile launches in or whatever the fuck. But James O'Brien goes into whether or not Donald Trump has gone mad. And I don't think he's so much asking the question, but making a determination. So we'll go into that after this. But here's Greg Kelly on with Newsmax again, trying to get us to believe that, hey, don't worry. It's only 52 days of war. And I'm sure that there's some big, really smart plan behind the scenes to get us out of all of this. But, let's see what Greg Kelly can push in this bullshit clip.
Wow, this Iran war has been going on for years, months? No, 52 days. 52 days.
Yeah, really? 52 days too long. 52 days that have seen absolutely no benefit, no victorious outcome, no lowering of prices, no regime change, no fucking total and outright capitulation, no opening of the Strait of Hormuz, and definitely no fucking, engaging peace talks. So again, the 52 days is only increasing. At one point, we were only in Iraq for 52 days. At one point, we were only in Afghanistan for 52 fucking days. At one point, we were only in Vietnam for 52 fucking days. And you know what happens, Greg? Every day, another day gets added onto that until you're there for 365 or fucking, 5,000 days or 10,000, however long it takes. I mean, 52 days now, but that, again, goes up with every day. I know it's maths, tough maths for Gregory Kelly here, but we'll try to teach him. We'll try to learn him.
Relax. And quite frankly, we're not even shooting anymore. We are in the middle of a ceasefire. It's one.
Jeez, you want to take this one back? Oh, it must suck, right? It must really suck to be a fucking Republican bootlicker at this point in time. Like, what is the purpose? What is the fucking, what do you get out of it, right? Like, what do you get from fucking crawling out of Donald Trump's taint every single day to go on Twitter to fucking applaud this ridiculous fucking thing that you're trying to make it seem like is a huge benefit? Like, oh shit, oil prices came down from $1.20 a barrel to 84. Oh yeah, hey, let me ask you a quick question. What was the price of a barrel of oil before this fucking war started? No, crickets? Oh, okay. So it's still fucked. No matter, even with the dramatic decrease, even though we've already seen that erased as far as, I think the market, I don't know if I can see real quick what the market's doing. Let me see real quick. Looks like, let's see here. I did have a quick update as far as this was concerned. Well, I do know that Trump media and tech is dropping fast, as it says on my screen here, minus 2.25%. Let's see here what the rest of these things are doing. Is it going to tell me? No, it's not going to tell me. Well, anyway, I know that oil has spiked once again because of the uncertainty, the ongoing fucking difference in rhetoric coming from the Iranian side, and obviously the Trump administration. So, let me just, I'll get this asshole back on the screen here. Let's see how we can further try to pull a victory out of Donald Trump's asshole.
Down. Negotiations are back on, we think.
Oh, are they back? Are they back on again? Do you I'm sorry, I probably didn't even finish my thought there. It's so utterly demented as far as these people is concerned. Like it's tough to finish a coherent thought. But like it must be really fucking like what do you get out of it nowadays for these people that again went on Twitter and was like, oh, this is so awesome, then only to see oil prices spike again, right? Do you delete that tweet? Like, how does that work? Do you just like totally disregard what you said the day before? Do you hope nobody notices? Like, is Greg Kelly going to go on and force Newsmax to take this down now that JD Vance's fucking, his ass hasn't left his fucking couch he's been fingering for the last week, right? He didn't even make his ass out of the United States. So these ongoing talks, right, Greg, you want to retract the statement? I doubt it. I'm sure you won't.
And is going to meet us in Islamabad, Pakistan.
No, they didn't. Nope, didn't happen. Never said they would, never agreed to it. Trump was saying he was going to send a delegation. Couldn't tell us who that delegation was going to be. Couldn't even get the team down pat. Was going to send them, but they were going to go fucking, with their dick in their hands and have their, they're just going to be playing with their pud the whole time in Islamabad because Iran wasn't going to show up.
52 days of war, 13 people we've lost. I think that number actually might be up to 17. That is terrible. But as far as wars go, this is not that bad. And
not that bad, huh? Isn't that fucking... I wonder if the families of the 13... Did he say 17? Hold on, let me see here. Where's he getting that? Am I missing something? U.S. service members killed in Iran. Just give me a second now, because he said 17. It says, following the start of the U.S.-Iran conflict, February 28, 2026, at least 13 service members have been killed in the Middle East, primarily in Iraq and Kuwait. Rather than inside Iran itself. Key casualties include 6 reservists in a March 1st, 2026 drone strike at Port Shuaba in Kuwait, and 6 crew members in a March 12, 2026 air crash in Iraq. So again, I'm not sure where he's getting that 17 number reported. Maybe fill me in the chat if you guys have heard anything along those lines. I did hear the uptick in the revised number of wounded. I know that was up around 600 or 700, if not more, compared to what they were telling us. But I didn't hear that. I haven't heard the 17 number. And again, a lot of them are trying to categorize some of the deaths and injuries as being like outside of the theater of war. So maybe that's what he's talking about. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know in the chat if you guys know what the fuck he's talking about. Again, this is me trying to rationalize and trying to actually dig through anything that these fucking morons are saying. Like, my bad. I should learn my own lesson at this point.
We know from President Trump, he wants this thing wrapped up. I've heard...
He doesn't. No, he fucking doesn't. He just told fucking Squawk Box Joe that he wants to continue bombing. That's what he said. That's what he's dying for. It's the only thing that gets him fucking worked up in the morning now is knowing that he has his finger on the trigger and could eliminate a civilization if he wants to. Again, you tell me how anything that he said right here, it shouldn't, tell me how this video shouldn't be pulled down. Like, not a fucking thing that he said so far has actually happened. Nothing. Zero. Not a fucking sentence, not a fucking word that he said so far in this segment we've actually seen happen. Not a one.
Maybe in a couple of days, and maybe in a couple of days, there will be a major breakthrough. We've had a few already. You compare this to the wars that the swamp fell in love with. Afghanistan, 20 years. And we lost.
Yes. Now, at what point, I'm sure we could have said, hey, we've only been there for 52 days. You know what I mean? Like the fucking ridiculousness, how asinine these fucking arguments are. Like, yes, all wars started with day one at some point. Like we could go back and say, hey, we were only in Afghanistan for 1 day. We were only there for 2 days. But guess what? Turned into 20 fucking years real quick, didn't it? Turned into a lot of goddamn money, into a lot of goddamn people being hurt really fucking quick, right? Those are quick 20 years. I can tell you that much. Just as quickly, that could happen right now. Just as fucking quickly, especially with the escalatory talk, with the escalatory actions, the new fucking target packages being assessed by both the U.S. military and the Israeli military. Like, that's what we're looking at. Again, a continued, ongoing fucking war here. Like, we're not talking about negotiations today because ain't nobody flying to have them. You fucking idiot.
20 years. People, you could go years, by the way, without even hearing about Afghanistan in 2011, 2012, 2014. Nobody ever talked about it. It was a war going on, and it was a lot more casualties than what we're dealing with Iran, but not a biggie somehow. The Iraq...
It was a boots on. It was a fucking boots on the ground situation. Of course. that's going to lead to more casualties. Of course, that's going to lead to more deaths. Exactly what we're trying to avoid here in this fucking war that we've been dumbly and fucking wrongly thrust into by our fucking dumb government and the dumb government that he's associated with, right? I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. Fucking hell.
War that also became an inconvenient truth for Democrats and Republicans, by the way. Yeah. What about that one? And no weapons of mass destruction. The Gulf War. That was a pretty successful war as far as wars go. 43 days. All right. We kicked one country out of another country. Pretty decisive. That's also 35 years ago. And we can go on.
Yeah, so what? We shouldn't talk about it. We shouldn't reference that, right? You're pulling up things that are now shorter in like length than the war we're now currently engaged in, and somehow what? You just let that slip through the cracks of the producers? Did that really go along with the agenda that you're trying to portray here?
Because Vietnam was a 20-year war. Did we really start fighting in 1955 to 1975?
I'm sorry. Are you getting taught the history per this segment? Like, are your producers using this to teach you about the fucking history of the United States military and the fucking wars we've been engaged in? Seems like you were pretty unsure, uncertain. Never heard that before until you just read that on the screen. Like, again, people getting their news from somebody that's learning on the spot by reading the fucking teleprompter, probably not the best thing. That's probably one red flag that should stick up real fast as far as that's concerned. Like, maybe we should change this channel.
Korea, how long was that one? 4 years, 4 full years. And of course, the big one, World War II. Well, our involvement didn't start until...
What the fuck does this have to do with the current situation? I'm sorry. What the fuck? How is this not just a blatant whataboutism? How is this not just a blatant, hey, look the other way? Let's talk about these engagements. Let's talk about these police actions. Let's talk about these wars. Let's talk about how many people were involved and how long we were there. That way we can consistently get away from talking about the danger and the ridiculousness that we're facing right fucking now. Right? Like, what the fuck does this have to do with what we're engaged in now? What is it? I'm sorry. Yeah, World War II, great. Korea, great. Yep. There was a day 1, and there was a day 10, and there was a day 200, and they kept going from there. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? What is this fucking the whole segment supposed to be about? And he doesn't sound sure about anything. Nothing that he said actually took place. He went right from bullshit to be like, okay, hey, remember history? Yeah. So again, all the fucking soldiers that we've lost now, all the money that we spent on this war, the rise in oil prices, the rise in gas prices, the fucking, the threat to the Asian markets, the threat to the European markets, the threat to global trade in general. Like, all of that's worth it because apparently we were engaged longer in World War II. Like, what? Okay, Greg, nice one. But it's probably enough of Greg Kelly stupidity for one day. We don't have to, I won't subject you to too much of that fucking nonsense in one segment. But what do you say we dive on to somebody a lot more level-headed, a lot more clear-headed, and that will be buddy, good friend. Hopefully at one point we can, maybe even fucking reach out. That's why I want, fucking more reach. I want fucking people to be like, oh shit, Blunt Politics reached out via email. We should definitely respond to that. But that's only going to be with your help, with your generosity, and you guys boosting us up there in the old algorithm that we're going to have that opportunity. But this is James O'Brien, titled, Has Donald Trump Gone Mad? And I just love the fact that he's starting off with this instance, this situation of Donald Trump on the roof. I'm excited to see what he gets into here. What do you say we dive into it? Hit that like button. Again, my name's Brian. This is Blunt Politics. Just a blue-collar, regular, down-to-earth politics podcast, live stream, whatever you want to call it, trying to sift through the bullshit, the lies, and the rhetoric of the mainstream media, obviously the Trump regime, obviously the GOP, and calling out basically anybody that gets in our way of doing that. So appreciate if you would hit that like button, if you would subscribe, if you do enjoy what you're seeing, if you find yourself coming back, if you find a good place there in the chat, think about subscribing to the channel. All right, this is LBC's James O'Brien. Has Donald Trump gone mad? Answer, yes. All right, let's get into it.
Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
It's an extraordinary...
I'm sorry. I know it's not even 5 seconds into the clip, but that happened. That was a thing. That's the president of the United States roaming the fucking roaming the roof of the White House as reporters yell up at him like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And he says, taking a walk. I'm telling you, it's not real life. It's a fucking simulation. We live in like an alternate universe at this point. let's listen to this.
Mr. President, what are you doing up there?
It's an extraordinary moment of liberation when you stop thinking that there's a master plan, or you stop thinking that Donald Trump is moments away from restoring normality, restoring a semblance of decency. When you stop thinking that the bad behavior is an aberration and the status quo will be restored, it is a strange moment. And in many ways, despite having gone quite early on it compared to other people in my profession, we still went quite late. You know, still thinking during the state visit, for example, well, maybe this will nudge him into a place where he stops being so mad, where he stops being so petulant, he stops being so unhinged, he stops being so erratic, he stops being so unpredictable. Maybe cozying up to him at the state visit, I think this was Keir Starmer's calculation, will be enough to sort of shock him into decency. There were plenty of people still in the media, still using phrases like Trump derangement syndrome to describe those of us describing Trump's derangement. And there's something there for the PhD thesis writers of the future to look at. What on earth would possess someone commenting?
How many times have we said that, right? How many times have we said that like exact same thing? Like, this is the mind of people that have gone along with this bullshit is definitely going to have to be studied for quite some time. Like fucking historians and psychologists and fucking people that dive into the human mind are going to have so much to dive through as far as this point, this position in history, and like how we got to this point. Like, how many times have we said that? Like, it's not going to take long for people to try to dissect the fucking mindset of people that were wrapped up in the bluster, wrapped up in the bullshit, and continuously and consistently still follow it to this day, right? Like, that's probably the most the most beneficial piece or portion of the MAGA cult that we could study going forward, to be like, okay, let's see how we can avoid that going forward.
On current affairs to attack the people describing a mad president instead of attacking the mad president.
We're doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
We went early on calling him deranged, on calling him mad. That's not a diagnosis. And even if it were, it's not one that I'm qualified to give. Over the course of the last few days, 3 men who are prominent.
And I think this is pretty poignant here, what he's about to say, because he's going to go on and he's going to refer to 3 people within the British government, within the British media, that come from 3 distinctly different subsets or communities or positions politically inside of UK government that are now pretty much coming to the same conclusion, albeit years and years fucking too late. Or again, maybe they're just reiterating this point. I can't tell, obviously. But again, if they're just coming to this conclusion, it's a fucking problem. I can tell you that much. But, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just reiterating this fact, of course, depending on who he's talking about. But basically, they're all coming to the same conclusion about Donald Trump's mindset, mental capabilities, cognitive abilities, whatever you want to say. But here he is going on to detail how I think it's 3 different outlets, 3 different reporters, if I'm not mistaken, basically say the same exact thing, if not just phrased a little bit differently. Check this out.
Contributors to public discourse in this country. 3 men have all arrived at the same conclusion. And it is interesting because they are very, very different men and they speak from very, very different positions. You have a crazy Brexiter, the wrongest man in the world, Daniel Hannan. You have one of the finest journalists.
The wrongest man in the world. What a fucking title to be bestowed upon you by James O'Brien.
This country has produced in the last 50 years, Alan Rusbridger, former editor of The Guardian and Prospect magazine. And you have one of my favorite columnists, despite the fact that he sometimes writes things that I balk at, Matthew Parris in The Times, a former Conservative MP. From a wing of the Conservative Party that really, in its current guise, no longer exists. So 3...
Again, a Brexiter, the former, I believe he said, what did he say, CEO or editor at The Guardian, and then somebody on the Conservative side. And let's see what here they come to the conclusion of together. Well, not together, but, you know, basically at the same time.
Very, very different perspectives. These are the 3 headlines that have appeared in the last few days. Rusbridger first. I was already worried about Trump's mental decline. It just got worse.
Okay,
Matthew
well, at
Parris in
least
the
I'll give
Times.
that
Trump-
guy credit. Hold on, let me go back. I'll give that guy credit at least, right? Because he said I was already worried about Trump's mental decline. Again, I'm not sure. It says Alan Rusbridger. I'm not distinctly familiar with his work or what he's talked about in the past. But again, if he was only worried about it and not calling it out directly, then we're going to have some problems. We're going to have some discrepancies. But again, a little bit of credit here where credit is due, in at least stipulating that he was already worried, and this wasn't like a new revelation that he had.
About Trump's mental decline, it just got worse. Matthew Parris in the Times. Trump is too deranged to continue in office.
And again, that's pretty clear and concise. Republicans can no longer deny the depth of president's cognitive decline and should act for the good of the party, says Matthew Parris here. You can see here for, what is it? What do you say? The Financial Times? I forget now what he said. It just says the Times up top. But it says Trump is too deranged to continue in office. Let's see what the third had to say.
And then Daniel Hannan in the Washington Examiner, Donald Trump is losing his mind. So
pretty on the nose, right? Pretty clear. I don't think there's any beating around the bush as far as that headline is concerned.
Daniel Hannan in the Washington Examiner, Donald Trump
is losing his mind. Again, April 17th, 2026, 8:30 a.m. from the Washington Examiner by Dan Hannan.
Is losing his mind. So a consensus from three very, very different corners of commentary that Donald Trump is losing his mind or has lost his mind, that Donald Trump is mad. Not that Donald Trump is erratic or unpredictable or difficult to work with, but he is actively mad, as in there is no way of imposing comprehension upon his conduct. It makes no sense. It is mad. Donald Trump has gone mad.
Surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay?
Three of the most powerful men in the United States of America. One of them encountered a dead raccoon, got out of the car, cut its penis off and took it home. One of them likes to give sermons.
Oh, the things that the fucking foreign press has to bring up when discussing our fucking government. Holy, didn't have that on my bingo card. Like, we know the story. We know all about, fucking RFK and his obsession with dead animals and roadkill, all the craziness shit and crazy shit that he's done with bears and raccoons and shit. But listening to, again, the foreign press have to be like, hey, just a reminder, that RFK fucking whack job, yeah, he cut off a raccoon's penis. I know. It's not funny. It's not. It's not fucking funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. All right, sorry.
And claim that the U.S. military acts according to God's will, which of course makes him a religious extremist of exactly the type that we are encouraged to detest in Iran. And one of them is, according to reports, I think in the Washington Post, off his nut. And they've all been put in position by Donald.
And again, he goes on there to further detail and make his case for the cognitive decline, the blatant and obvious cognitive decline by Donald Trump. That is, again, being defended at every turn. That clearly is got to be obvious to people like Caroline Leavitt. Has got to be obvious to people like RFK, even people like fucking Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Susie Wiles, fucking Tulsi Gabbard, anybody that served or been around or spent any time around Donald Trump recently in the last 10 years or basically throughout his entire life, considering he's been a demented fucking fool, a corrupt con man, fraudster, womanizer, sexually abusive piece of shit his entire life. Like, it would pretty much tell you that the guy's never had a brain to work with. The guy's never had fucking two brain cells to rub together to come out with an outcome in his entire fucking life. But, again, the danger posed by him, and it just like these people that defend it, the people that come out here and try to, not only defend it, but make it seem like he's never been fucking sharper, right? Like he's never worked harder in his life. He never sleeps. And that's supposedly a good thing for a guy that's 80 fucking years old. Like, why are you saying that like it's a good thing? Like, maybe that's why he's talking all this fucking bullshit and bluster, right? Maybe get the guy a fucking nap every once in a while, right? Like, we know the detriment of not getting a solid 8 every now and again. Like, I don't know, maybe take that into account What are you going to do? But all right, let's see if we can jump into these last two quick. Shit, I try to do good on time. Well, maybe that's the last. Maybe I did all right on time. Yeah, because this is the last one I had anyway. So maybe we're okay. Maybe we're okay. I might actually be a little ahead of schedule, but it's never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. All right, let's jump into this clip here because Russia is burning. The kinetic strikes, the kinetic sanctions, a term, I don't know who coined that term, but I think it is a fantastic term. I think it is very, very, very well thought of and gives a pretty clear and concise indication of exactly what's going on, what Ukraine is targeting as far as the ports, as far as the oil infrastructure, and again, trying to mitigate any benefit that Russia has been seeing from, again, the spike in oil prices, the relieving of sanctions that have stemmed from this Iran war, and again, the ridiculous fucking action that Donald Trump has undertaken. But this is Preston, our dude, main man Preston here, giving us an update. I don't know why I'm doing a southern accent. He doesn't have one. But he says here, Ukraine just enforced their kinetic sanctions of Russian oil. And there's a few of these detailing kind of the efficacy of the Ukrainian strike. So what do you say if we can just dive into a couple minutes of this? And again, if I leave myself a little bit of time, there's probably a couple more minutes of that James O'Brien clip that are worth watching as well. But I want to make sure we give this the due time it deserves. So I'm going to dive into this one. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for not only supporting all of our endeavors as it pertains to, helping and, trying to support not only the people of Ukraine, but obviously the Ukrainian military on the whole. So I really do appreciate you guys for sticking with me as we cover this stuff, not only the domestic stuff, but also the foreign topics, the foreign situations that we need to stay up to speed on. So thank you guys. Slava Ukraina, Heroyam Slava. Very much appreciate everybody in the chat sticking with me. Hit that like button. What do you say we dive into Preston's video again, talking about the kinetic sanctions of Russian oil continuously being put in place by Ukraine. What do you say we dive into it? Appreciate you guys.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So pretty interesting update today as Ukraine continues their kinetic sanction program of Russian oil. And a number of different Russian mill bloggers are starting to get more and more frustrated with how the war is playing out, with things about how the oil industry is not being adequately protected. Others complaining that the general public is not involved in this war at all. And finally, one of them saying, guys, you can get upset with me if you want, but at this rate, we, Russia, is not going to be able to push Ukraine out of Donetsk at all. So let's get started here.
And that's huge. I mean, you got to know that's fucking huge coming from a Russian blogger, right? I mean, they got to pick and choose their words pretty fucking carefully. They got to make sure that they don't blow up the spot of, anybody on the front line or make a commander look foolish. Because then that gets talked about, that kind of gets filtered, and you never know what's going to happen to these Russian bloggers. It's a very real thing of them kind of being rounded up because they're putting out too much information and putting out too much bad press. So for anybody to distinctly come out and say, hey, we're just never going to be able to do this, okay? The rate at which this is going, the amount in which they're able to now strike inside of Russia more than Russia has the ability to strike inside of Ukraine, which is substantial. Again, the slight uptick that we've seen in the kill ratio. I know it's dark to talk about, but it's war, unfortunately, and that is just an instance that is a factor of the war that we need to talk about. Not only, ground regained, territory regained, but also the kill ratio, the amount of weaponry that they can utilize, the amount of weaponry that they can eliminate on the other side. All of these things are factors in this, but where we're seeing probably like a 1 to 5, 1 to 6 in some instances on the front. We've seen like a huge uptick. I think a couple of the battles and the skirmishes that we've seen have gone up to like 1 to 27 as far as the amount of Russians dead compared to the amount of Ukrainians that have fallen as far as those battles are concerned. So that uptick is good to see as far as that is. And like I said, I know it's dark and morbid to have to talk about, but that's the unfortunate situation that we find ourselves in. So
overnight, the Ukrainian unmanned systems forces released some footage showing that they once again hit the Russian Tuapse refinery. They say after the last attack on the refinery, which occurred on April 16th, a fire began that lasted several days. Attempts to eliminate its consequences were unsuccessful. After a repeated fire impact, it only intensified. Now, some additional details here from the Kyiv Post. They say the Tuapse refinery, integrated with a Black Sea port export terminal, was hit for the second time in less than a week. A previous fire at the site burned for days and required more than 150 firefighters and emergency personnel to extinguish. The Tuapse refinery processes up to 12 million tons of crude oil per year and ranks among Russia's top 10 refineries. They say in March, Russia is estimated to have lost close to $1 billion within a week after repeated strikes on its Baltic ports.
$1 billion in a week. And again, trying to do their best to wipe out, again, any benefit, any added, financial gain that the Russians have seen. And this has been, consistent. We've been talking about this for months at this point, the ability that Ukraine has to strike these different oil facilities, the ports that have to, again, get this onto ships and get that out there in order for Russia to make the money anyway, because you can suck it all up out of the earth. But if you got no way to store it, if you got no way to sell it, then it ain't doing you any fucking good, right? And I just want to, let me see if I can throw this. Hopefully this doesn't mute me. If it does, my apologies. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Throw this over here for a second. Nope, it didn't mute me. I'm going to throw this on your screen. And I just want to show you the size of this place, right? This is the Tuapse oil refinery that they're talking about, the one that Ukraine, I believe, has now struck, what is it, 2 or 3 times he was talking about? But look at the size of this fucking thing, right? I mean, you can tell the substantial nature of, like, the oil supplies, the infrastructure that this takes. The amount of disruption that comes from Ukraine hitting this every single time. As you saw on your screen from the video, you can see the substantial fire that was created. But, I mean, the size of this thing, and definitely the the ports just like it, give you a clear indication of the necessity that Russia has to try to keep these open, to try to keep the oil flowing so that it can continuously try to pay for this war that they've enacted. But this is the Tuapse. As you can see here, is Tuapse, the town of Tuapse. There's the oil refinery here. But look at the amount of tanks. Obviously, the amount of ships that could be here. You can see the different docks, the different ports, different ways for them to pull up. I mean, this whole fucking thing here is probably related to that one facility. And I'm sure a lot of the homes around are the people that work at this refinery. I mean, just look at how big this thing is. The whole port, the whole waterfront is taken up. All of the tanks here, obviously on this side as well. But again, good to see that not only Ukraine still has the ability, but is continuously striking these places. Let me throw the Preston video back on your screen. I just figured I'd give you a little bit of a look inside of... Oh, no, I did have another video. I knew I did have another video. I'm such a schmuck. All right, let me throw this back on the screen anyway.
And this one was so big. I mean, you can see the flames spreading across this facility, and very similar to after some Iranian facilities were hit by the U.S. and Israel a few weeks ago, it rained oil in parts of Russia. I mean, we've got a clip here of somebody going outside and feeling around, and that is oil raining down across the city. So
oh, did I send myself? There's a video of a Russian woman as well, kind of complaining ridiculously about the the destruction and how much oil and fuel is in the water, and she only wanted to move to a warm weather port with her family. Why is this happening to her? Like she has no fucking clue. No tears, no pity, no sympathy, no compassion for those sons of bitches that thought that they could just roll down there, take over the territory, everything was going to be okay, nobody was going to try to push them out, they were never going to see any fucking retaliation or pushback. Well, guess what? Wrong. Fucking wrong as far as that's concerned. But again, it's a shame to see that this has to be undertaken. It really does. I mean, we're talking about serious detriment to environmental situations, stuff that's going to take years and years and years and years in order to go back to any sense of normalcy. I mean, we've talked about the fiber optic cables that have been just covering towns in cities like fucking spider webs. We've talked about the plight to the wildlife in the area, in a lot of these areas, getting birds caught up in the nets, birds caught up in the fiber optic cable, deer, whatever it may be. All of the fucking wildlife that has been kind of hijacked. Their territory has been hijacked because of bunkers that have to be built, or trenches that have to be built, or fucking artillery that's being brought in and out. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of impact to this. So we talked about it with the Iranian black rain that we saw with the oil raining down. So we just it's consistently being seen here as well.
These attacks on oil refineries are no joke. And really, this is kind of coming into play as the United States once again eased sanctions on Russian oil just about 48 hours ago. So Ukraine trying to counteract that as best they can by shutting down that source of revenue.
So we're just making their job more difficult, right? And again, I'm not saying that these wouldn't be targets by the Ukrainian military, but again, they're taking away the efficacy. The United States is taking away a substantial fucking percentage of the efficacy that these strikes would be having if the fucking Russians weren't profiting more than they were before this war started. Right now, with the relieving of sanctions, with the uptick in the oil prices, right? Like, they're now seeing more fucking revenue flow in to try to continuously enact this war. And Ukraine is trying to have to mitigate that. So that's like, again, not saying that these wouldn't be targets, because I'm sure they fucking would, but to what benefit they're having is being limited by the fucking actions of what is supposed to be an ally in the United States that, again, signed the fucking the Budapest memorandum saying, hey, you guys give up your fucking nukes and we'll help you in case this maniacal fucking piece of shit country that's next to you decides to attack. We'll come to your aid. But now apparently everybody seems to fucking forget that. Nobody wants to recognize that. And now we're just making their life more fucking difficult. Right now, we're just saying, hey, before it would have had this much of an impact if you taken out this fucking oil refinery. It would have had this much of an impact. But don't worry, they've been able to profit more and more because of the relieving of oil sanctions, because of the the jump and the spike in oil prices than originally it would have had if, again, the prices were lower, if Donald Trump and this regime wasn't making it more fucking difficult for you to enact and effect fucking real damage to the Russian economy. It's crazy. It really is. It's fucking nuts to think about.
Russian military. Now, Russian mill blogger, military informant is just one of many voices today getting so frustrated that Ukraine has the ability to continue to go after some of these soft targets. Just picking on him because I thought this was the most notable. But again, just about every major Russian commentator today saying, what the hell is happening here, guys? Like, how are they continuing to hit all of these facilities? Millinfo Live said, quote, it's obvious that neither the current air defense system nor the Ministry of Defense are able to cope with the.
That doesn't detail a small strike. I mean, you can see just the right side of him. The huge plume of smoke coming from one of these strikes. I'm not sure if that says this is from the 2 apps one in particular or another one of their recent strikes, but that is, a clear indication of a pretty substantial strike, some pretty substantial damage, being caused not only by the strike but also by the ongoing fire there.
And regularity of Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian territory. We either need radical.
And again, you can see there again, those are buildings, right? Those are tanks, right? And fucking buildings in the foreground. So you can see kind of the widespread nature of the fire there that's going on. And again, I don't know if that says 2 apps in particular or one of the other ones. But again, it's rather irrelevant if you can see the amount of damage and the efficacy of the strikes here by the Ukrainians. So again, this isn't detailing, a small incursion. This isn't detailing, just one of the fucking, one of the storage facilities or one of the storage tankers was hit and it was put out quickly. This details a pretty substantial strike that will go to hinder, obviously, the production or at least the shipment of that oil for Russia, which is again helping mitigate the benefit that they would see from the uptick in costs, yada yada yada, as I've explained.
Reform and changes in this area, or the disabling of drone production facilities for the armed forces of Ukraine located in Europe. Otherwise, we still face major problems by the end of the year. So really starting to recognize on the Russian side that these continued Ukrainian attacks and the volume is increasing. It looks like the precision is increasing as well against the oil infrastructure in Russia. It is going to happen.
And again, that brings me to this, which is, again, probably a great segue into this last little segment, this last little video, because Magyar had a message for the Russians. And again, this is detailing and right in line with the uptick that we've seen in not only the efficacy, but the amount of strikes going from Ukraine into Russian-occupied territory or Russia itself. And again, this is a little message. I believe it's in the first minute or so here of this video from Magyar's Birds. Again, one of the the originators, you could say, of the drone usage by Ukraine. Some of the people that were responsible for those very fucking first clips that we were like just in shock about of these little drones dropping these small grenades, these little things of ammunition, basically through sunroofs into these little fucking areas, flying them right into the dugouts, flying them right into the trenches. Just the accuracy and the ability and the consistent nature of the way that these Ukrainians were able to fly these drones or utilize these drones in a way that nobody had ever seen before. Again, the Magyar's Birds were right there on the forefront of that. So let me see here if we can just get into the message that they sent to the Russians, and I think you'll kind of get the picture. You'll get the point when you hear it.
Ukraine is going in deep and hard.
Pause. Jesus Christ. I mean, this is a PG show. Can't be starting a video off like that.
Final brutal message has been delivered to Putin, and it's precisely what Russia's president doesn't want to hear. Russia is going down. Everything Russian will burn in the occupied territories and beyond, as Ukraine unleashes a brutal tactic that is shattering the rear, crippling the front, and wiping out everything that Russia has. Medium range.
And again, this is military front. Oh, no, excuse me, military show. Right. Yeah, this is the military show, which again, every time I kind of play one of their videos, I have to kind of reel everybody back in a little bit. Like they're a little bit hyperbolic in the way that they're going about talking about the total like eradication, like the total switching of the situation on the battlefield. But to a large extent, they are correct in the way in which they're speaking about the the change in tactics and again the change in momentum on the battlefield. It's just they're a little bit. I'd go there. They just go a little bit further than I would go. That's all.
Strikes are here, and Ukraine is using them to make 2026 the year of Russia's biggest losses yet. If Putin wants a message, the Magyar birds delivered it in an April 16th X post that made it clear that Ukraine has a new strategy that Russia can't handle. Worms, you're declared the birds. We're just warming up the engines. Buckle up. It's about to go all the way down your throat. This is a warning.
I just wouldn't want to be a Russian soldier on the front lines hearing that come from fucking Magyar. I just wouldn't. I'm sorry. That would just be fucking absolutely terrifying. Worms. What's he say? One more time. I'm going to get that one more time. Worms, you're fucked, he says. God damn.
Just warming up the engines. Buckle up. It's about to go all the way down your throat.
And again, talking about the amount of drones that they have to utilize, talking about the change in tactics that they've drawn into effect to utilize the uptick in drones that they have. So again, a lot to come here from the spring and summer offensive as we rapidly roll into that season, rapidly roll into that territory as the mud decides to dry out and as the days get longer. The Rasputitsa decides to subside here. We're going to start seeing more and more action. We're going to start seeing more and more, developments. We're going to start seeing more and more fucking, battles basically between the two sides. And it's good to see that as we continue to say that it looks like the momentum is rapidly going to the Ukrainian side as we enter this very important time in this war. What happens again in this next spring and summer offensive, I think will be very, very telling as far as the way that this is going to end. So we'll be keeping our eyes on that. But I do think that was pretty clear. I don't think there was any beating around the bush as far as fucking Magyar was saying there. Worms, you're fucked, he says, as far as the Russians are concerned. We're just warming up the engines to the drones. Buckle up. It's about to go all the way down your throats. God damn. So, all right, I'll get you guys out of here. I know we kind of spot on as far as timing is concerned. Another great show. Really do appreciate you guys for your support, for sticking with me, for coming back time and time again as you do, making this show pretty consistent as it were, trying to keep us growing, trying to keep us going. I want to thank the mods first and foremost for making that chat a safe place. And again, I've been blessed with some of the most fantastic mods, if not the most fantastic mods on fucking social media, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I want to make sure that W's in the chat for all the mods that make this show possible. Make sure they get their moment in the spotlight, right? Their day of recognition as well, because they do a lot. They put up with a lot of bullshit in there, and a lot of the times they don't get to really invest in the show, right? They're dealing with the chat, they're dealing with morons and stuff like that. So shout out to the mods and shout out to the best chat ever. What do you say we head over to the old Venmo side of things, as I say, see if anybody was kind enough to toss in a buck or two, as it were. Oh, thank you, Mike. I see you in here, brother. Thank you so much to Mike Z. F Trump. I will absolutely second that without a fucking second thought. So thank you so much to Mike Z for sending that in. And then everybody over the last couple days, thank you so much to Jenny Faye for your kind contribution. Thank you so much to Mike Z over the last couple days. Another one from Raja, another one from Karen. Thank you to Barbara. Thank you so much for everybody contributing over the last few days. Tom and Victoria, Suzanne, Roxanne. You guys were all super important and super appreciated as far as this community goes. Oh, Dame, I see you sneaking one in there, brother. I see you sneaking one in. Thank you so much to Dame Dog in the chat. W Dame Dog. Taco Tuesday. Oh, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. Shout out to Dame. Shout out to everybody contributing over there on the Venmo. And again, it's just right here. Take a picture with your cell phone. Should bring you right to the Venmo. All I ask for is a buck or two, guys. Again, we're not trying to buy Lamborghinis or mansions here, but being able to live our life somewhat comfortably would be great. But I know we're all in a financial crunch right now. I know we're all in uncertain times, and there's a lot of different programs. There's a lot of different channels trying to get you to contribute. So I know you're kind of spread thin. I understand, and I'm right there with you. So totally totally understood. So thank you all that much more to the people that do support us, do contribute. It really means the world. It does. So thank you so much to Dame. And then did somebody else just sneak one in there? Well, let me see. Refresh. Oh, thank you, Yakov. I see you, brother. I see you in there. Thank you so much for the 5. He says, let's fucking go with you to the end. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Like I said, I've been blessed with a really fantastic community here, a really fantastic family that we've built and we've built off of. And, I feel very blessed to have you guys around. So I really do appreciate it. Let's get into some of the old YouTube side of things, and then I'll get you guys out of here to hopefully enjoy. Oh, thank you, Kathy. I see you in there. I see that notification coming down. I appreciate you, Kathy, for all that you do as well. Believe me, I like to highlight and congratulate and appreciate every single person that comes through with a contribution. So we do that at the end of every show in case you're just joining us for the first time. Let's get into thanking everybody here on YouTube, starting with Jeff. Thank you, brother. Little Daddy Kane told Trump to fuck off RE new codes. Did he? I don't know. We'll see. And again, I'm not on the side of thinking nukes will ever come into play here. Again, there's just no benefit, I don't believe, to any side. And again, as dumb as the side and the leadership is now, I don't. And again, maybe I'm being too optimistic, but we'll see. We'll see. Only time can tell, right? I don't want to be too make too many predictions here. Look like an asshole. But I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much for the 420. Hope everybody had a fun time yesterday. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you, Colleen. You and this community family are my New York Times crossword mind strengthening to ward off dementia. I love that so much, Colleen. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for your contribution. I really do appreciate it. And another one here from Colleen. Are you, Brian, or Chat using Kalshi or Polymarket? Just curious. Not a goddamn chance. Not a goddamn chance. And again, I am, very apt and very familiar with the whole gambling scene. Not averse to it myself, but definitely not utilizing any of those. I find it to be utterly disgusting, too easily manipulated. You know what I mean? It's just the whole thing stinks to high heaven as far as those are concerned. I kind of had a problem with the way that these sports betting markets were taken over as far as like advertising and just in general, as far as social media and all over the place was concerned. A lot of these fucking asshole, podcasters and Republicans promoting, different gambling sites and things that are basically just going to suck the money out of their audience. So again, I've had a problem with that for some time. So absolutely not will I be using Kalshi or Polymarket. Fuck them both. How about that? So hope that answers your question, Colleen, as clearly and concisely as possible. So I appreciate that. Let's see here. Not really. Rachel, how are you, dear? Good to see you all the time. Let's go. F. Tucker, he has Ukrainian blood on his hands, and that is absolutely the truth. Another, added aspect to the reason we're not going to allow him to rehab his image. So very much appreciated, Rachel, for bringing that up as well. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being here. Carol says, thank you so much for the $2. Shout out to you. I am never naming trans daughter Buckley. As far as Tucker is concerned, yeah, I mean, it's just, again, not letting him rehab his image is something that I'm very, very, very firm on. And again, that goes for the Candace Owenses, the Alex Joneses, the fucking Marjorie Taylor Greens, and anybody else. And I know there was just another resignation, if I'm not mistaken, in Trump's cabinet. Was it Laura Chavez de Reamer, if I'm getting that name right? As far as that's concerned, I think it's the third secretary level cabinet member in Donald Trump's administration that has now been relieved of duties or has left the position. So again, something else to look upon as far as the corruption, the incompetence of this administration. They can't even keep their own fucking idiots in line. But thank you so much to Carol. Thank you so much to Tomas as well for the 10 gifted memberships. Let's fucking go, Tomas. I appreciate that so much. We now have 10 people in that chat going to have a fucking membership for an entire month. Just because of the generosity and the kindness of Tomas here. So shout out W's in the chat for Tomas. Appreciate that. Same thing with Soka Deb here. Thank you so much, Deb, for everything that you do. Very much appreciate you. Very valued member of the community. All of you guys. Thank you, Nola, for the $2 contribution. You're great, Boston Bryant. I very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for the kind words and the support, Nola. Very much appreciated. Thank you, JD, going right in the swear jar. Lobster's right back at you, my friend. Thank you so much to Masha. Masha, how are you, dear? Thank you so much for your kind contribution. Please say hi to the kitty for me. And then rounding it out today, Jeff. Appreciate you, brother. Hold up. Sports betting? I'm sure. I know. Isn't that weird for a guy from Boston? That's I'm sure that's, a surprise to a lot of you guys. I'm sure you're shocked, right? I'm sure everybody's just running to their journal to write down the date in which they found out fucking Boston Brian was familiar with sports betting. But no, but again, it just kind of shows that even somebody in that game, even somebody that loves, a little bit of sports betting here and there, is not going to be dragged into the, hey, sponsor this fucking site, push this site onto your followers, the poly market bullshit and betting on wars and betting on, the removal of leaders. And I mean, it's too easily manipulated, as shown by the, what was his name there? Alex. He's what the fuck's his name? Alex something. He's from Miami. He's the one that, I don't know if you guys watch automotive YouTube at all, but he's the one that Matt Armstrong, the UK automotive YouTuber, is in cahoots with, trying to rebuild his Bugatti without the help of Bugatti, yada, 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 whole story. But anyway, he's a day trader, basically put a bunch of money on a bet that there would be a streaker at the Super Bowl, utilizing his friend. Obviously, he didn't place the bet himself, but gave his friend a bunch of money to place the bet, who I believe was the camera guy at the time, in which he decided to streak himself, right? Thus affecting the outcome of his own bet, right? So it's just like that type of shit. And I know that's just like a small example, but I mean, it's just ridiculous. It seems like there's no fucking rules, regulations, laws, just like a total lawless fucking land. And again, anybody that names their studio Polymarket Studio, just goes to show you, how fucking degenerative that shit is. So again, TYT and Jenk, fucking, take notice. All right. But I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for everything that you guys do. For the patrons, make sure you're watching out for the link. I'll make sure the link goes out for tonight's Zoom, the makeup Zoom. For the 420 fog. I'll make sure that goes out within an hour or so after the show. So appreciate you guys. Thank you. Make sure everybody heads out and checks out patreon.com/BostonBrian. 3 great tiers on there. A lot of new perks. Obviously the discount code for the merch. A lot of great fucking merch on there. I got to say, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit with some of the designs. Again, they are very, very loud. They are very proud, and they are very aggressive, just like we ask you guys to be. Obviously, wear these representing coming up into midterms. Don't wear them to vote, though. Don't wear them to vote, because then they might not allow you in. None of that shit is allowed. But again, every other day up until then, going into the grocery store, going into work, picking up your kids at fucking school. Maybe it's a conversation starter, or maybe you just let everybody know where you fucking stand. We got the Chinga La Migra. We got, don't stop pretending your racism is patriotism. We got the I'm in love with human right. We got a ton of those things, whether it's hats, whether it's mugs, whether it's sweatshirts. We got both men's and women's shirts on there as well. So again, check that out. If anything kind of fits your fancy, float your boat, as it were, think about supporting the channel. So I appreciate you guys. You can also sign up for a YouTube membership just underneath me for less than a gallon of gas. All that good stuff. So I appreciate you, and I will see you tomorrow for the doubleheader. 2 shows tomorrow. We're going to have, obviously, our afternoon show, 1 p.m. It's a 1-hour show, and then we got the 8:30 p.m. show tomorrow night, a 2-hour show. So we'll be getting into all of the madness, the craziness, as we, steadily and rapidly come on to this deadline as far as the so-called and non-existent fake ceasefire is concerned. So obviously going to be a lot to talk about. Thank you again to the mods. Thank you again to everybody who supports. Love you guys. Appreciate you so much. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you tomorrow twice. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. Love you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm out of here. You know what that means? That means you're going to have to go into Kyle's chat, and you're going to have to spam Boston Brian, right? You're going to have to spam Lobsters. You're going to have to spam Kyle and get him to have a conversation. That would be very fucking good. I'd be very happy to have a conversation with him. Appreciate the thought. Shout out Adam. Shout out Adam in the chat. I don't know if you're in there, my brother, but we love you. We appreciate you. We're right there with you. Let us know if you need anything. Feel free to reach out.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Gene rocks. Holy shit. Talk about commitment. Motherfucker. That's awesome. Yeah, right? Get in there. What the fuck? 14 years, you're gonna have some fucking pull. Oh. Thank you, George. Love you too, brother. Hope you're well, my friend. Good to see you in there as always. Appreciate it for the support. Good idea, Rage. That's a good idea. I've seen them do that a few times. Not a bad idea.
The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see. A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
Where you going? Nowhere.
Like we always do about this time.
I am the chosen one.
Fucking Nazis.
For the rest of my life, I have the curse that I have little hands. Little hands.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
I said mud. I said crud. You fall into some crud or something? Or go fuck yourself.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Yesterday's a hard word for me. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? We're a nation that just recently heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. The big, fat, sloppy United States.